This man is a ruthless debt collection machine. His success rate is a perfect 100%. 100%. He is so reliable because he understands one simple rule. Make people submit using the rules. Kim Sang-in just walked into a basement. The guys inside saw him and wondered if the kid wanted to join. We are already full. I am not here to join. He scanned the crowd and locked eyes with Boss Hyo. I am here to collect. The men just laughed. He is so young, his brain must be broken. Boss Hyo stepped forward. Haven't I 270,000 won? Kim still shook his head. Even if it is a small amount, it is still money. You are as ruthless as ever. Fine, then I will stop being polite too. As soon as he finished, Boss Hyo gripped the axe tight and swung it down at Kim Sang-in. But Kim moved easily and dodged it. You really are as shameless as the rumors say. Kim dodged with ease. You really are as shameless as the rumors say. With that, Kim landed a heavy punch and Boss Hyo collapsed straight onto the floor. The lackeys watching suddenly looked terrified as the situation changed. Your reputation is trash. Do you know why I still dared to lend you any money? Because I was certain I could get it back. Right then, Boss Hyo's men started to stir. Boss Hyo shouted in terror. You idiots, can't you see he has the axe in his hand? But before he could finish, Kim split open his shoulder with one single blow. A piercing scream filled every corner of that basement. He sliced the shoulder open and a scream filled the room. Kim acted like he didn't even hear it, looking totally cold and emotionless. I am not going to kill you. He stayed emotionless, repeating that he would not kill him. He raised the axe once more. Soon after, Kim headed back to his studio. He raised the axe again. Soon, Kim was back at the office. All 4 targets are finished, including Boss Hyo. Boss, you are a god. A total debt collecting machine. I have been in this game a long time, but I have never seen anyone keep a perfect 100% success rate. A perfect 100%. Kim felt like the kid was talking nonsense. Get me a clean shirt, he snapped. The blood is still fresh. If you send it to the laundry now, it should still come out. The lackey nodded his head immediately. Then Kim spoke up again. Think this kid should stop running errands and start doing some actual work. It is already handled, boss. I plan to give the rookie his very first assignment tomorrow morning. He handed a file over to Kim as he spoke. His first job starts tomorrow. He handed over the folder. She stopped by while you were out. She is a young school teacher. One look tells you she is the naive type. She took out a loan just to buy some designer bag. She took out a loan for a bag. The lackey was so hyped he could barely sit still. I finally get to collect. Right then, Kim turned and walked out the door. He walked out. Boss, where are you going? I already ordered dinner. He walked outside. Boss, where are you going? I already ordered dinner for us. Don't wait up. There is somewhere else I need to be. Kim said that and left the studio. The 2 guys just stared at each other. Chief Kim really is just like you said. He is a machine. You think I am kidding? I think he is actually a robot. I have been with him 3 years. All he cares about are the numbers. What does he even want? Meanwhile, let's look at Kim Sang-in's side. This is the insurance payout I got after my wife passed away. Please, have some mercy, Chief Kim. Kim listened, but his eyes stayed stone cold. I only came here to get my money back, but they always beg me to be kind. They always beg me to save them. Kim kept thinking, you still owe 28.3 million won. I will be back next week. He turned and left. Right then, he heard the man scream a hateful curse. You are going to rot in hell. You will be tortured there for the rest of your life. Kim replied coldly. I know, but even in hell, I will still get my money back. Soon, Kim arrived home. Since I was a kid, my dad told me never to borrow money. But he could not handle the debt and killed himself. Every day he was on his knees, begging for mercy. After my father died, they died, and then they finally set their sights on me. I was only 15 then. I did not even know you could renounce an inheritance. Was I supposed to live that kind of life for the rest of my life too? So, I finally made a decision, and that is how I became the one holding the knife myself. Soon enough, the next day arrived. Why are you loafing around instead of grabbing that cash? The grunt quickly explained he wasn't lazy. The boss said he'd handle it himself. Cut to the high school. Seongun already tracked down the borrower, Kim Ian. Back at school, Seongun found Kim Ian. The debt is 10 million won, and the interest is 3 million. You must pay it back right now. That is 10 million won plus 3 million in interest. You need to pay it back this instant. Kim Ian's face went totally pale. Kim Ian's face drained of color the second she saw him. That was when Seongun repeated his warning again, never, ever get into debt. That is the only lesson our father left us. He said it again. No debt. That is Dad's only lesson. Hearing this, Kim Ian looked like she was in deep trouble. Kim Ian looked totally desperate. Please, you have to save me. Kim Ian looked desperate, begging for help. Right then, a student suddenly walked up to them. Teacher Ian, I have everyone's homework. Should I just leave it on your desk? He glanced curiously at Seongun. Who is this guy? I do not think I have ever seen him around before. Hearing that, Kim Ian panicked. Seongun spoke up quickly. I am a teacher from the school next door. I am here for the Solbit High Teacher Exchange Program. An exchange program? Oh, okay. I see now. See you later. Yijin nodded and said goodbye. Once he was gone, Kim Ian let out a huge sigh of relief. Thank you, brother. Kim Ian finally breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, brother. Seongun stayed cold. Meet me at the gate after school. Have the 13 million won ready. Do not even think about running. Kim Ian started to say something, but she hesitated and just swallowed her words in the end. Have you lost your mind, brother? Did you forget so quickly how our father died? People just like them backed him into a corner. That is the reason he took his own life. Now you want to join them? You have seriously gone crazy. If you are going to live that kind of life, do not ever show your face to me again. I do not need help from trash like you. Thinking back, Seongun couldn't help but sigh. He never expected 10 years to go by this fast. So this is what you have become, Kim Ian? She should be here by now, right? Right then, Seongun checked his phone and suddenly went completely still. He stood frozen. He saw that Kim Ian had sent him a text. He saw the message from Kim Ian. The second he read the contents, Seongun's entire body went completely rigid with fear. His body went stiff. A second later, he bolted back into the school like a man possessed. He sprinted back into the school building like a complete madman. A huge crowd was already gathering outside. Was that figure up there Teacher Kim Ian? A crowd gathered by the building. Was that Teacher Kim Ian? Seongun arrived on the scene right at that moment. Seongun made it there just in time. Kim Ian had her eyes shut, showing zero fear, ready to jump. I used to think loan sharks were the scariest people on the planet, but I was wrong. There are far more vicious demons in this world. They are the ones who forced me into debt. They were the people I always feared more than anyone. I wanted to be a good teacher so badly. Now I see I was just naive and understood nothing. This classroom was the real hell all along. I just want to escape from them. Brother, I am sorry for calling you trash back then. And also, that day I ran into you in the hallway. I almost broke down in tears right there. When I realized I would end up living as miserably as Dad, a suffocating pressure crushed me. I could barely breathe. The pressure was so intense, I could hardly breathe. At that exact moment, I made my final decision. I am done with this life. I do not want to be a lamb for the slaughter anymore. This time, let me decide for myself how I die. Goodbye, brother. In his memories, Seongun hid behind a pillar, watching his father's misery and weakness with his own eyes. His little sister rubbed her eyes while looking for him. He just stood there frozen, not daring to let her see the look on his face at that moment. Kim Sang-un held his sister tight, his voice shaking. Don't look, Yoon. I won't let you see this garbage. Next, Sang-un knelt before the debt collectors. They mocked him, asking why he was putting himself through this misery. Sang-un was drenched in cold sweat, his throat tight. If I can't pay this back, they'll drag my sister into the abyss. Thinking of how his sister was still dragged into that darkness, his eyes turned bloodshot. He swore he'd never let her suffer another second of pain. Right then, his phone screen lit up. Kim Yoon's account, 371-1 plan. A transfer of 13 million won. 1-1 plan, 13 million won. Before long, the next day had arrived. His father told him never to touch death. His father warned him about death, and Sang-un felt like a total fool. Seeing his sister fall from that building made him realize he knew nothing about real hell. This classroom had been a living hell for a long time. Bullying, schemes, and lives being choked out by debt spreading silently between the desks. Debt was spreading between the desks, watching his classmates laugh and mess around. He used to think the abyss of debt was just a story to scare kids. I am very happy to meet you all. Starting today, I will be your new teacher. My name is Kim Sang-un. These punks standing right in front of me owe me a massive debt. My name is Kim Sang-un. These kids owe me big. Even if I rot in hell, I am taking back every cent they owe me. Not long ago, Assemblyman Mansik invited Sang-un's boss, Chairman Hwang Byung-in, and immediately asked him to borrow 10 billion won. Hwang Byung-in let out a soft chuckle. I was wondering why you brought me to such a nice place as this. Chairman Hwang, you must be joking. You know how hard it is to get a seat at the same table. At that moment, someone from outside interrupted the assemblyman's conversation. Hwang Byung-in frowned and asked what was going on. After hearing the report from his subordinate, Hwang Byung-in's gaze darkened. His eyes went cold. He signaled for the car. "We are leaving immediately." The assemblyman asked in confusion, "Did something happen?" Hwang said lightly, "Sorry, there has been a small matter at home. Just a family issue. Let us meet again next time." It was a family matter. "We will meet later." Soon, Hwang Byung-in arrived at Kim Yoon's funeral. At the funeral, Sang-in had not expected his boss to show up just for this. "Thank you so much for coming." Hwang Byung-in asked him. "No need to thank me. But after this, can you even eat?" They went to a restaurant. "I thought you cut ties with your sister after joining me." Sang-in explained calmly, "You cannot just sever blood ties by saying so." Hwang Byung-in nodded. "Then what about those bastards who tormented your sister?" Sang-in was silent for a moment before speaking. "I will go see them in person." Sang-in was quiet for a second, then spoke. "I am going to see them myself." Hwang Byung-in was startled. Hwang was surprised. Then he nodded again. Hwang was surprised and nodded once more. "It seems they owe you a very big debt." At that moment, Sang-in asked him if he could become a teacher. Hwang Byung-in was stunned once more by this request. Sang-in explained that this is the most effective way to collect the debt. "I will still fulfill my original duties too." Hwang smiled as if he found this very amusing. "It is not hard to put someone in a school. I will make the arrangements." Sang-in immediately thanked him. Sang-in thanked him. Then Wang's tone shifted. "But I hope you remember one thing forever. This is also a debt you must repay to me. Remember one thing, this is a debt you must repay to me." And so, Sang-in became a teacher at Solbit High School. Sang-in started at Solbit High. "I am Kim Sang-in. Starting today, I will be in charge of Class 3-2. Class 3-2. I look forward to working with you." He did not know which one yet, but the person who killed Yoon was in that room. Suddenly, a student cut in, gushing about how the new teacher was way too handsome. "Teach, do you hit the gym? That physique is seriously insane." "No joke." Yijin, an old acquaintance, gave Kim Sang-in a nod too. "Alright, enough chatting. Everyone, settle down and get ready for our first lesson now." With that, Kim Sang-in turned around and headed out the door. As he walked out, the students were totally confused. Is the teacher really just ditching us like this on the very first day? Ditching on day one. Just then, Kim Sang-in stopped dead in his tracks right at the doorway. He turned back, his eyes scanning every single student in the room. "Do any of you know why teacher Kim Yoon took her own life?" Mentioning the suicide, Yijin sat there in total shock after hearing that come out of nowhere. Why is the new homeroom teacher bringing this up? Is he just being nosy? Why ask that? He mentioned being from the school next door. Just an exchange teacher here at Solbit High. It does not add up for someone who is just temporary. An exchange teacher from the school next door. Yeah, right? Yijin let out a cold laugh. One is named Kim Yoon and the other is Kim Sang-in. Do they really think we are all that stupid? The scene shifted over to the faculty office. They think we are idiots. Back in the office, the other teachers crowded around Kim Sang-in. They told him taking over this class was like hitting the jackpot. Apparently, the students are so gifted that parents almost never have a single complaint. No complaints, huh? Then another teacher asked what everyone was thinking. If she got along with the kids so well, why did it end like that? The whole scene that day was total chaos. Many students who saw it happen are still in therapy even now. As Kim Sang-in listened, his head was spinning with doubts. Doubts everywhere. After spending a few days with the kids, he could not find a single thing wrong with Class 3-2. At school, everyone actually looked up to them as the model class. On the surface, their bond with Kim Yoon seemed absolutely flawless. It looked perfect. He even dug through all of Kim Yoon's teaching records and class logs. Still, he could not find even a tiny hint of bullying anywhere. But if everything was so perfect, she never would have asked me for help. Help? Who could it have been? Why ask for help? Suddenly, a loud voice snapped him right out of his thoughts. "Baek Soyeon, you bitch. Say that again if you have the guts." "Baek Soyeon, you bitch. Say that again." Soyeon spoke up timidly. "When you borrowed that money, you said you would pay it back in a week. It has already been 2 months now." When Kim Sang-in spotted the girl, his eyes narrowed instantly. She looked like the girl he saw at Kim Yoon's funeral. At the funeral, right then, a delinquent sneered. "You have some nerve opening your mouth." Their leader raised a hand to silence his lackey. "Hey, there is nothing wrong with collecting a debt." The leader silenced his lackey. "There is nothing wrong with wanting your money back." He looked at Baek Soyeon with a fake, comforting smile. "Do not worry. I will definitely pay you back. I owe you 500,000 won, right? Soyeon nodded. But a second later, Park Dae-jung slapped her right across the face. Slapping her face, he spat, "Are you really that petty? We are classmates. You are turning on me over a measly 500,000 won. Over 500,000 won?" Baek Soyeon pleaded in a quiet voice, telling him that she really needed that money back right now. "Then you should not have been such an idiot and lent it to me. Since you did, stop nagging me. When I am in a better mood, I will pay." Before the words even finished, Park Dae-jung's expression turned dark and cold. His face went dark as he started sizing up Baek Soyeon, not even trying to hide it. Then his mouth twisted into a creepy, sinister smile. "You really need the money that badly?" Soyeon did not get why he asked, but she nodded anyway. "Since you are so broke, come hang out with us tonight. I promise I will pay you back once we get there." Soyeon just froze in total shock after hearing that. Soyeon was frozen in shock. The lackey standing right next to him started jeering. "Boss, have your eye on her. Shut your mouth, you total idiot." The scene shifted to a convenience store later that night. "I already gave you a 2-month grace period. The deposit is gone, and there is not a single penny left." The man was fuming while the woman looked apologetic. "Please, just give us a little more time. All our money is gone." Baek Soyeon stood there in silence. Her mind kept replaying that one moment from that day. The one that left her filled with nothing but regret. "Sorry, Soyeon, lend me another 500,000 won. I will pay it back soon. But I really do not have that much." "What do you mean? Are you looking down on us? Your mom's store is right there. She is not around, so why can't you help us out? Why can't you help? It is all my fault that my mom ended up completely trapped in this horrible situation. Should I tell her the truth now? Even if I do, that lost money is not coming back." Not coming back. Just then, the sound of a ringing phone snapped Baek Soyeon out of her thoughts. Snapping out of it, Park Dae-jung just sent her a text message. Baek Soyeon froze on the spot. Was he actually going to pay her back the money now? Dae-jeon sent a text. Soyeon froze. Was he actually going to pay her back? The next second, she went completely silent. Right then, Soyeon went totally quiet. The scene shifted to the other side of the room. Soyeon rushed over there too. The moment Dae-jeon saw her, his eyes lit up with excitement. He sneered, "I didn't think you'd actually dare to show your face here tonight." He invited her in, saying she'd have a blast tonight. Soyeon fought back her tears. "I'm not here for fun. You said you'd pay me back if I came." Just then, Dae-jeon's hand landed heavy on Soyeon's shoulder. "Don't be so cold, Soyeon. You knew what you had to do for the money before you even got here." Then he suddenly yanked off her coat. When the guys nearby saw that, the looks on their faces changed instantly. "Let go of me. I only came here to get my money back. Don't be so nervous. I just think you're getting too hot." As he said that, Dae-jeon signaled the lackey to bring over a water bottle. "Let's do this. Let's play water balloons now." He signaled for a bottle and told them to make Soyeon the water balloon goddess. The lackey raised the bottle, making as if to splash her. But the expected cold water never actually hit her. But the icy water never fell. Soyeon opened her eyes, totally confused by what she saw. Everyone was frozen, staring at the door. She looked up and saw the whole group paralyzed, staring blankly at the doorway. Standing right there was Kim Seong-in. He stood there in the door and said, "I'm only going to say this once. Let her go." So Yeon began to tremble the moment she laid eyes on him. She was shaking. "Isn't that the guy from Senior Ian's funeral? What is he doing here? You idiot. What gives you the right to boss me around? Who do you think you are? Who I am doesn't matter. But I'm advising you to let her go." Suddenly, one of the guys realized something. This man was the new homeroom teacher for Class 2. Dae-jeon shoved Soyeon away. "Teacher Kim, what are you doing here? Do you actually know her?" Dae-jeon shoved her aside. "Are you her uncle, or something? Or are you this girl's boyfriend?" He laughed, getting even more smug. "You're actually dating a man this old. You must be really broke. Why not date me instead?" Before he could finish, Kim Seong-in landed a heavy punch right on his face. 2 of his front teeth went flying right then and there. That punch sent his teeth flying. The lackeys stared at the fallen Dae-jeon, their eyes bulging straight out of their heads. Did the boss just get sent flying with one hit? Are we seeing things? So Yeon was stunned. She suddenly remembered what Kim Seong-in had told her at the funeral. Back at the funeral, he told her she was the only one from school who came to see Ian off. "Thank you. I won't forget this." Kim turned his gaze toward the lackeys. "You borrowed 500,000 and won from Soyeon. Since there's no paperwork, we'll calculate the interest at 30% per week. The delinquents were lost. Is this guy crazy? What is he even talking about? He's crazy. What's he saying? You're 8 weeks late. Your debt is now for 1,078,653 won. Hearing that, Dae-jeon woke up. What are you talking about? Kim's voice was cold. A debt must be repaid. That is the rule. I only took 500,000 and you want over 4 million. Is that fair? Kim walked toward him. It's not fair. But from now on, what I say is the rule. Meanwhile, Kim's crew was waiting outside, feeling restless. One guy with the crew cut asked Hyo Young, "Why is the boss following those kids?" The crew cut guy kept pestering Hyo Young about the boss. Hyo Young snapped back. "The boss does whatever he wants. Why do you care so much? You think the boss went in there for karaoke?" The lackey was totally confused. "If not, then what? You're an idiot. The boss has his sights on those kids. Doesn't matter who they are. Once he's watching you, it's over." At that moment, Park Dae-jeon was shaking with pure rage. "What do you mean you make the laws? What are you saying?" "I'm Kim Seong-in, homeroom teacher for Class 3-2 at Solbit High School. I'm the teacher for Class 3-2 at Solbit High." So Ian was totally startled. Class 3-2. Wasn't that Ian's class? It had to be. So Ian's heart raced. Wasn't that Ian's class? "You're a teacher and you're actually shaking down students?" Kim Seong-in corrected him. "I'm not extorting anyone. I'm just settling a debt between students. Fixing unhealthy financial relationships among students is part of a teacher's job." The students were speechless. "Your idea of fixing things involves using your fists? Then we'll fix you too." With that, several of them charged at Kim Seong-in all at once. They all rushed him together. "I was only telling you to repay a debt, and now you've all suddenly rushed at me trying to beat me to death." The next second, he raised his hand and landed a single punch on every one of them. In a flash, he wiped out all 3 of Park Dae-jeon's crew. After pulling back his hand, Kim Sang-in spoke with ice in his voice. "You have 1 day. Repay everything by 5 p.m. tomorrow." While he spoke, he ground his foot into Park Dae-jeon's head. "If you still dare to refuse to pay by then, I guarantee you will think even hell feels like a vacation." After saying all that, Kim Sang-in turned to Baek So-yeon. "Why are you still standing there? Aren't you leaving? I want to go with you, teacher. And also, thank you for saving me. If you have time to thank me, you should probably just head home." As she watched Kim Sang-in walk away, something started to feel off. The more Baek So-yeon thought about him, the more she realized things did not add up. Watching him leave, Baek So-yeon could not shake the feeling that something was weird. If she remembered right, he is definitely Yeon's brother. Did he save me because of that debt of gratitude he mentioned before? And on top of everything else, he actually became a teacher at our school. Thinking about this, Baek So-yeon suddenly froze. This was way too much of a coincidence. A dark thought instantly surfaced. "You came here to investigate what happened to Ian, didn't you?" Seeing Kim Sang-in freeze in his tracks, she became even more certain. She felt even more sure. "Then you should not have helped me. I know those guys. They will hunt you down." Suddenly, Park Dae-jeon shouted from behind them through gritted teeth. "I am going to kill you for this, Kim Sang-in." Baek So-yeon went pale with anxiety. "If they report this to the board, you will be expelled the second you step back on campus." Kim Sang-in did not care at all. He had only gotten this job through his boss's high-level connections anyway. By the next day, Baek So-yeon was on edge, but strangely, nothing happened. The school day was quiet. Not only was Mr. Kim still there, but things got weirder. Not only was the teacher not fired, but even Park Dae-jeon sat quietly and would not even look at her. Right then, one of Park Dae-jeon's cronies started walking straight toward Baek So-yeon. Her heart tightened as the lackey approached. So, he really did come here to cause more trouble after all. But then, the guy whispered in a low voice, "I already transferred my share of the money to you. I sent my part. The 4 million is split 3 ways. Tell that teacher I have already paid what I owe." After saying that, he walked away without even looking back at her. Baek So-yeon stood there, totally confused. "Can someone please tell me what is actually going on?" Park Dae-jeon watched the whole scene from the back, his face turning pale. He quickly called back the delinquent who had just sent the money over. Park Dae-jeon gritted his teeth. "Fine, getting hit once scared you into pain. But you only covered your own share. You still don't get it. That teacher is definitely not a normal person." After hearing that, Park Dae-jeon went completely silent. After Kim Sang-in left last night, they planned to call the cops and report him to the school board. But instead, they all received a terrifying file that made their scalps go numb. The file contained all their personal info. Their social media passwords, friend lists, And even their home addresses were all right there in plain sight. If we don't pay, who knows what that teacher will do? That guy is definitely not normal. We picked the wrong person to mess with. Park Dae-gyun's face instantly stiffened. Right then, another lackey added, he is right. If my dad finds out about this, I am dead. Let's just pay him back first. Even you are betraying me. Let's just pay the money. Even you are betraying me. The lackey clenched his teeth. I don't want anything more to do with that teacher. If you don't want something bad to happen, you better hurry up and pay. Soon enough, the whole group returned to the classroom for class 306. Once the group got back to class 306, Park Dae-gyun sat in his seat looking completely miserable. What am I supposed to do? They all paid their shares, but I can't come up with the money at all. Right at that moment, Kim Sang-eun walked straight up to Park Dae-gyun. Right then, Kim Sang-eun walked up to Park Dae-gyun. You look distracted. Let me remind you, it is almost 5 p.m. Just a reminder, it is almost 5 o'clock. Save those useless thoughts for when you get home. A ball of pure fury was pent up in Park Dae-gyun's chest. But after class ended, he could only kick the trash can in frustration. He couldn't figure out who this random teacher actually was or how he managed to ruin him this badly. I bet that new teacher is the reason you're so worked up. Park Dae-ji was stunned. How did you know? Park Dae-ji froze. How did you find out? I heard it from your friends. They've been hitting everyone up for cash since this morning, so I just asked around. I've got a way to get you out of paying that money back. You want in? The scene shifted over to the sports field. Want to hear how you can dodge that debt? Cut to the sports field. It wasn't long before Baek So-yeon showed up too. Kim Sang-eun asked her if she had collected all the cash yet. Once Baek So-yeon arrived, Kim Sang-eun asked if she had the money. She said everyone was squared away except for Park Dae-ji. She confirmed everyone paid but Dae-ji. Thanks to you, my mom can actually cover the shop right now. I'll give back anything extra. Thank you so much, Mr. Kim. Kim Sang-eun just shook his head. Don't thank me. I'm just settling what I owed. Besides, there's still one debt that's outstanding. After he spoke, he turned his head and looked to the side. Right then, Park Dae-ji started walking over toward them. So, I'm guessing you brought the cash. Park Dae-ji didn't look scared at all, he just laughed. Do I really look like I'm here to pay you? The only reason Dae-ji felt so bold was because Eom Hee-jun had given him a plan. Hee-jun's idea was simple. If the teacher can use your info to threaten you, why not flip it? Why can't you use his own private secrets to put the squeeze on him instead? As luck would have it, I know a little secret about Mr. Kim Sang-eun. Knowing that secret made Park Dae-ji feel untouchable. Look, I'm here to cut a deal with you, teacher. Wipe out my debt, and I'll tell you why Kim Yeon jumped off that building. That's a pretty tempting offer, isn't it? Kim Sang-eun's face stayed stone cold after hearing that. Too late, it's already past 5 o'clock. Park Dae-ji was caught totally off guard. I said I wanted to make a deal. Why are you still coming at me? Kim Sang-eun closed in one step at a time. Dae-ji started to panic. I'm serious. I can tell you why Kim Yeon jumped. He tried to finish his sentence, but Kim Sang-eun suddenly lunged and grabbed him by the throat. Before he could say another word, Kim Sang-eun's hand was around his neck. I think I gave you a warning. If you didn't pay back the debt by 5, I warned you. If you missed the 5 o'clock deadline, I'd make you feel like going to hell was the easy way out. Luckily, Baek So-yeon spoke up at the last second to stop him. Only then did Kim Sang-eun finally let go of the kid. Don't be in such a rush to beg for mercy yet. He let go, but warned him not to beg just yet. I haven't even really started with you. By the time Dae-ji snapped out of it, he was all alone. He didn't get why the teacher just walked away, but the guy was intense. He wondered if the teacher would call his parents, then he relaxed. His mom was gone and his dad was always overseas. Just then, a them pulled up. Suddenly, someone grabbed him from behind, covering his face. A suffocating feeling flooded his brain as he struggled to breathe. He blacked out almost instantly. There was no telling how much time had passed. After being out cold for who knows how long, he was suddenly jolted awake by a bucket of freezing water. Soaked and shivering, Park Dae-ji looked around in a daze. He stared nervously at the expressionless man standing right in front of him. He looked at the man with pure dread. The guy just stared back blankly and said, "You're working here until your debt is paid." Dae-ji was confused and angry. What are you talking about? Where am I? Then, sheer terror hit him. Why was he on a ship? Just like that, Park Dae-ji became a deckhand. At first, he fought it, screaming at the top of his lungs that he wanted off. But it turned out the captain was pretty good at negotiating. He kept yelling to leave, but the captain just laid it out for him. You have to ways off this boat. First, work your tail off until that debt is fully paid. Either work like your life depends on it to pay the debt, or something else. Park Dae-ji gritted his teeth. So, what's the second option? He asked about the second choice. The captain told him the senior crew would beat him half to death, and then he'd still have to work. So, Dae-ji started as a green deckhand, and the crew made sure to show him the ropes. By the fourth day, he was already sorting through the fishing nets on his own. Time dragged on, slow and brutal, out on the open sea. Finally, today was the day he returned to the campus grounds. Working out at sea was brutal, but today he finally returned to campus. Every student who passed him was totally startled. Every student was startled, looking at him like he was a zombie. Finally free, Park Dae-jong vowed deep in his heart that he would never borrow another cent for the rest of his entire life. He never, ever wanted to set foot on that boat again. Too bad, because you have to go back to that ship next week. Park Dae-ji-hun was fuming and suspicious. What kind of garbage is that? I worked on that boat for 10 days to pay off my entire debt. Kim sang and replied with a blank stare. Your debt is far from being paid off. By the day you boarded, you were already overdue. Adding the interest from those 10 days on the boat, your total is now to 0.5 million won. 5 million. The daily wage on the boat is 170,000 won. But you are an apprentice, so I give you 100,000. After a 30,000 won brokerage fee, you make 70,000 a day. In 10 days you repaid 700,000, so you still owe 1.8 million. So you still owe 1.8 million won. Park Dae-ji-hun exploded. This is a human rights violation. I only borrowed 500,000 won. 5 million. Kim Sang-hun's face turned icy. I found you a job to pay your debt. Fine if you don't thank me. But now you want to default too. Without that job, your interest would just keep snowballing. If you get that, be ready in for days. I'll count it as field training, so you don't need to worry about attendance. Since it counts as field training, you don't need to worry about attendance. But Park Dae-ji-hun's heart sank. He had to go back to sea. Night fell fast. He had to go back. Night fell fast. A subordinate walked up to Kim Seong and holding an investigation report. There are way too many people to check. So far, we have only completed investigations on 10 trainees. Kim sang and asked, did you find anything unusual? Investigations on 10 trainees. Kim sang and asked if they found anything unusual. The lackey shook his head and said they found absolutely nothing. He shook his head and said they had found nothing unusual. Their records are absurdly clean. As far as these 10 go, they are all model students. Kim sang and confirmed they were checking in student number order, and the subordinate nodded. Then the next person on the list is Eo Mi-jun. Checked in number order. The subordinate nodded. Next up is Eo Mi-jun. Just then, Kim Sang-hun's phone started ringing. Kim Sang-hun's phone rang. After reading the message, Kim Sang-hun looked up at his subordinate. Kim Sang-hun's phone rang. After reading the message, he looked up at his subordinate. You can leave early today. There's something I need to handle personally. The scene shifted, not wanting to return to the boat. Park Dae-ji-hun was making one last desperate struggle. Desperate to avoid the boat, Park Dae-ji-hun made a final struggle. He told Eo Mi-jun every single thing that had happened to him. He told Eo Mi-jun everything. You screwed me over. Find a way to save me right now. I know you have already messed with a teacher before. Eo Mi-jun's face went dark, his voice turning cold. I will help. Last time was just a test, but this time, I am playing for keeps. You might not know this yet, but that teacher is actually Kim Hee-eun's brother. Next time I'll be serious. You might not know, but that teacher is Kim Hee-eun's brother. Park Dae-ji-hun was startled. Wouldn't that make things even more troublesome? He was startled. Wouldn't that make things even more troublesome? Don't panic, just do as I say and lure him to the place I arranged. Soon, Kim Sang-hun arrived, asking about the money. Once he asked for the money, Park Dae-jong waved him off. Stop talking about cash. You think you're some kind of loan shark. I don't have anything. Kim Sang-hun was stunned. Even after all this suffering, the kid still had the nerve to act so arrogant. He immediately started scanning the area warily. It was then he saw several thugs surrounding him out of nowhere. So, is this where you get all that confidence from? Park Dae-jong sneered. You still don't get the situation. Agree to my conditions and I might just let you walk. First, wipe out my entire debt. Second, get the hell out of this school immediately. Kim Sang-hun let out a dark laugh instead. You couldn't have planned this yourself. Tell me, who really taught you to do this? You didn't come up with this plan. Tell me who taught you. As he spoke, he started walking right toward Park Dae-jong. Panicked, Park Dae-jong ordered those men to surround Kim Sang-hun. But the man didn't flinch, even when someone tried to launch a surprise attack from behind. Kim Seong-gun didn't even blink. as if he had eyes in the back of his head. He smoothly stepped aside to dodge the sudden strike. With eyes on the back of his head, Kim Sang-in sidestepped the blow, then landed a punch and sent the guy flying. That familiar sight left Park Dae-jong completely frozen in shock. Right then, Kim Sang-in's cold, flat voice whispered directly into his ear. Sang-in's lifeless voice pressed in. I will ask one last time who planned this. The others were stunned by his insane speed and power, but they still couldn't believe it. No matter how strong he was just one man. The lead thug screamed for everyone to jump him while he looked for a chance to strike. He waited for an opening to deliver a killing blow, but Kim Sang-in just gave him a cold look. He glanced at him, and a second later, the room filled with a chorus of agonizing screams. Kim Sang-in dropped them one by one with single punches, beating them until they couldn't even move. He leveled them one by one until they were helpless on the floor. Suddenly, one thug shouted, "Now is our chance." It really was a perfect opening, just not for the thugs. One guy yelled about an opening, and it was just not for him. Kim Sang-in grabbed the man by the throat. He snatched the man's throat and launched him through the glass window right behind them. The leader totally lost it. In a total panic, he ordered his remaining men to charge, but suddenly a teddy bear popped up, blocking his entire view. Then, Kim Sang-in's heavy fist hammered out from behind the bear. The leader went flying, leaving everyone there absolutely stunned and totally speechless. Park Dae-jong was pulled back into his darkest memories. When I took a hit and didn't black out, was I tough, or was he holding back? Did I pick the wrong guy to fight? In a flash, Kim Sang-in had cleared the room, leaving only Park Dae-ji-hun. Dae-ji-hun felt a cold chill through his body. Years of running with street gangs taught him one thing clearly: if he got caught here, he was absolutely dead. He suddenly spun around and bolted for his life. Knowing he was finished, he turned and ran, but he was so terrified that his legs just gave out. His legs failed him, and he face-planted hard on the flat ground. I have to get up. He tripped and fell flat. I have to get up. If I don't move now, I will end up just like them. Pure terror forced him back up, and he took off again like a man possessed. Watching him run like a maniac, Kim Sang-in wondered what the point even was. If running away actually solved anything, then debt collectors wouldn't even have jobs, would they? Why have debt collectors at all? Meanwhile, once he was sure he wasn't being followed, Park Dae-jong called Yami Jun to report in. On the other end, Yami Jun spoke in a cold voice. Transfer me 5 million won. Park Dae-jong thought he'd misheard. You mean you'll give me 5 million won to pay my debt? Yami Jun replied, you heard me right. You owe me 5 million won. That is what it cost to hire those thugs. Dae-jong was stunned. Didn't you say you'd help me? I never said it would be free. You idiot. That is why I am in this mess. Where am I supposed to get 5 million won? Yami Jun said calmly, that is not my problem. Suddenly, several men approached Dae-jong. From now on, you owe us. Be a good boy and come along. Dae-jong frantically asked what was happening. Yami Jun said, I was worried you couldn't pay, so I sold your debt to them. Don't worry, they will find you a job. Oh, and the daily interest is 45%. With that, Yami Jun hung up. I only wanted to test Kim Sang-in, but I didn't expect this. One guy beating 20. Next time, I will need a much bigger crowd. The gang leader, who had been knocked cold, finally came to. He still couldn't believe it. That guy looked like a normal teacher, but he fought like a beast. One punch took out a street vet of 30 years. Just then, the captain of Team T arrived at the scene. Team T arrived, and the man was shocked to see his captain, asking how he even found the place. A real captain always knows where his men are. Isn't that basic? The captain scanned the room. But look at you in such a pathetic state. Tell me exactly what happened here. The man explained that some kid from Solbit High hired them to jump a teacher. We thought it was easy money, but that teacher was a monster. The captain asked exactly how much they were paid for the job. The man muttered, 5 million won. He stammered out the amount, and the captain's face turned furious. For that tiny bit of cash, you took a pathetic job and got wrecked by some school teacher? The thug still tried to explain just how terrifying that teacher really was. Before he could speak, the captain swung his hammer. You represent good capital, yet you got folded by a teacher? If word gets out, you're taking the fall for this. Give me that bastard's name. I will handle him myself. Then, the captain heard the name Kim Sang-in. The moment that name left the man's mouth, the captain froze where he stood. Then he started laughing, like he'd finally solved the puzzle. So it was him. No wonder you guys lost so badly. Soon, Kim Sang-in walked back into the office. He was surprised to see his subordinates still working at such a late hour. The subordinate rubbed his neck awkwardly, saying he still wasn't great at debt collection. He wanted to help with the paperwork and learn to be like the boss as soon as possible. Kim Sang-in couldn't grasp why anyone would actually want to be like him. His subordinate lit up instantly. "Captain, you are the #1 debt collector in the nation. You are my idol. #1 collector in the country. My role model." Kim Sang-in spoke calmly, but his words stung. "That title is garbage. We only care about money and will even step on others just to climb higher. You think stepping on lives is a dream? We are evil ghosts dragging desperate people into the abyss. We deserve to rot in hell forever. And you still want to become a person like me?" The subordinate went quiet, confused by the sudden lecture. "I know our job isn't honorable, but you aren't trash, Captain," the old man told me. "You gave up your whole future just to save your sister. You walked into this dark hole entirely for her sake. If even a guy like you is trash, then I am okay with being trash too. If you are trash, then I will be too. Not that I think you are garbage, Captain." "Whatever," Kim Sang-in said coldly. "Money, starting tomorrow, you are on your own. 10% commission. You handle it yourself for 10%. But promise me this. Once you pay back the surgery money you borrowed, quit this business for good. Pay off that surgery debt and walk away." Mani nodded, vowing to fight his way out when the time came. After sending him off, Kim Sang-in replayed the day's events. He kept grilling Park Dae-jin because that guy didn't have the cash to hire muscle like that. Someone else was definitely pulling the strings. Park Dae-jin was too broke to hire those guys. The person behind him wasn't looking for a payday, either. They were just using that loser to test my limits and see how I would react. They weren't after money. They just wanted to feel me out. The goal is obvious. Force me out of school and stop me from digging into Kim Yoon's death. They want to force me out and bury the truth about Kim Yoon. Since they are this desperate, I do not even have to go looking for them myself. As I get closer to the truth, they will panic more. Eventually, they will have to show their real faces. Meanwhile, back at the home office, Mani was buzzing, unable to sit still. He had finally made it. What should he wear for his first solo collection job? It had to look tough and fierce enough to scare anyone. Suddenly, a vision hit him. If he wanted to look like the toughest guy in the room, there was only one way. He needed the same glasses as the captain. Pay up or suffer the consequences. But mid-sentence, Mani froze. "Captain, did you forget your tie?" A dark silhouette appeared at the door. "Captain, are you back for your tie? Why didn't you just call me to bring it to you?" But before he could finish the sentence, Mani blacked out completely. Mani lost consciousness instantly. Soon, Kim Sang-in arrived at the entrance. A heavy sense of dread washed over him. He shoved the door open and saw a nightmare. Mani was slumped against the wall, covered in blood and barely clinging to life right there by the entrance. Kim Sang-in's eyes tightened. Only after he felt a pulse did he finally let out a breath. He calmed his breathing. Looking at the wounds, these weren't from a knife or bare fist. Suddenly, a man lunged at him from the shadows in a surprise attack. Kim Sang-in blocked it effortlessly, just as I thought. "It is you, Captain Choi Achil. Still carrying that rusty tetanus hammer everywhere, I see. But attacking my guy for no reason makes this a war between our companies now." Choi Achil just shook his head. "It wasn't for nothing," he said. "You were the one who trashed my people at the arcade." Kim Sang-in hadn't realized those thugs worked for good capital. The old man had warned him strictly. Never let personal beefs bleed into company business. Personal grudges. This trouble just got way bigger. From that look on your face, you finally get it. I came here with one goal. Beating the life out of you. It has been years since we squared off, and my hands are itching for a real fight. This was Kim Sang-in's old captain. He had a look that could tear a throat out. Kim had learned everything from him. In this world, only one rule matters. Use any means necessary to make them pay up. Understand, just like you. You paid your dad's debt because you didn't want to die, right? No, wait, you're different. You did it to keep your sister alive, didn't you? He watched Kim Sang-in's gritted expression and grinned with a twisted, cruel excitement. Mad about my rookie training session. Let's start by snapping one of your ribs so you learn the rules properly. Choi Achil's face was twisted in a sneer. Even a punk like Kim Sang-in thought he could wear a captain's badge. He was mocking him. Even a kid like Kim Sang-in was playing captain now. Roaring, he lunged forward. Let's see if you've actually gotten any better. Kim Sang-in ducked instinctively as the wind from the swing exploded right past his ear. Choi Achil smirked. Your speed has improved quite a bit. The hammerhead whistled through the air again and again. Each time, Kim Sang-in barely managed to dodge the heavy strikes. Choi Achil kicked out. Kim Sang-in gritted his teeth and blocked it hard. Not bad, kid. Kim Sang-in's fingers tightened. Let's be clear. Your guys attacked first, and you beat my subordinate unconscious. So I am not apologizing. The veins on Choi Okio's head bulged. Yeah, you always refuse. That has always been your little catchphrase, hasn't it? That is exactly why I hate you most. You always refuse. That is exactly why I hate you most. Pure murderous intent rushed toward him, wrapped in a violent, freezing wind. The killing intent hit like a gale. Kim sang and twisted his body to dodge the brutal attack. There's an opening. Kim sang and dropped his center of gravity. An opening. Kim sang and stayed low, being ready to end the fight with one final blow. One hit missed, but then the hammer came crashing down. A heavy thud echoed through the air. Kim sang and managed to block that heavy hammer. Kim blocked the hammer strike in midair, then instantly snatched the guy's wrist with a sharp backhand motion. Snatching his wrist, he whispered, "You lost." A second later, Kim threw a heavy punch down. Choi Akil once forced Kim to kidnap a debtor's young child. Choi once made Kim kidnap a debtor's kid, and Kim really didn't have any choice but to go through with it. Choi also ordered him to torch shops, pushing even more innocent people into a spiral of crushing debt. Kim had been powerless back then, forced to watch Choi enjoy everyone's despair. He had endured it for far too long, and now his only goal was to defeat this man completely. This was the man who once trampled Kim into the dirt. He wanted to crush the man who once trampled him. The kid Choi trained was now standing over him. Choi laughed like a total madman, saying, "You think you're different, bullshit. We're both the filthiest trash here." Kim answered, "Yeah, I'm trash, but I never enjoyed this violence and filth." Kim didn't feel the need to prove himself by killing Choi. Choi taunted him for not killing him. But all Kim wanted right now was to get his injured subordinate to the hospital for emergency treatment. He needed to get his guy to the ER fast. Now, in a hospital bed, his subordinate had thick bandages wrapped all around his head. With bandages covering his head, the guy jolted awake. But Kim told him to just relax and focus on recovering. Kim explained that the attacker was actually the captain he'd worked for when he first started in this business. He originally thought this was a hit on the whole organization, but it turned out he was the only target. The lackey hesitated, mentioning that while he was organizing the student files, he found someone extremely suspicious, someone likely tied to the recent attack. Later, Kim sang and made his way over to the memorial park. He stood before the rows of burial niches. At the memorial park, he stood before the burial niches, silently staring at Kim Yoon's old photograph. While looking at the photo, Baekso Yeon arrived to pay her respects. Kim asked her whether Park Dae-kyun's entire debt had finally been fully settled yet. He asked if the debt was paid, but Baek said no. She admitted that she was starting to wonder if taking this much from them was going too far. Kim coldly cut her off, saying interest is just a risk premium and the price of tying up capital. He cut her off, explaining that interest is just a risk premium. He walked away, leaving her with a cold final thought: interest isn't greed. It is compensation for pain. Kim told her that if she ever changed her mind, she could find him, and he would personally handle the debt collection. He stepped onto the stairs, his footsteps echoing through the empty building. The hunt had officially begun. It's time to drag out all the trash who owe money, one by one. One by one. That boy was the specific debtor Kim was looking for, the one who truly needed to repay his debt. Next, we see Kim sang and assessing the class monitor's current mental state. In a calm voice, Kim asked how he felt about his previous teacher jumping off the building. The class monitor said the first few days were tough, but he was doing fine now. That's strange. It's weird. No one sees that much blood and just stays this calm. Kim coldly noted that every other witness was in therapy, and he was the only exception. The monitor smiled and asked the teacher to record that he was struggling but persevering, adding, "I am sad too." "That's fine," Kim said. "You've already made it onto my list of suspects." Hearing he was a suspect, the class monitor realized this man had come specifically for him. The monitor knew Kim was coming for him. He said, "I'm looking for the murderer too, so if you..." The class monitor grabbed the teacher's hand. He grabbed the teacher's hand and pleaded through his tears, saying that even if he was a suspect, he just wanted the murderer to be caught no matter what. Finally, the class monitor bowed respectfully and said goodbye. Kim replied, "We will have plenty of chances to work together in the future, student Yemi Jun." Yemi Jun turned around and replied with a very polite, "Until next time." Everyone called it a horrific, unbearable nightmare, but only Yemi Jun knew it actually hadn't been like that at all. It was a horrific scene, but only Yemi Jun knew the truth. While everyone else screamed and ran in total panic, he stood calmly right before that pool of blood. The screams and pleas for help felt miles away, like he was behind glass. He just watched the chaos unfold with cold, detached eyes. He remembered every single detail of that day's scene with perfect clarity. People were running for their lives. Yet he just stood there watching that dark figure crawl closer and closer. He watched that shadow approach, focusing entirely on the look of pure despair written all over the teacher's face. He just watched that figure approach, staring at the teacher's face of pure despair. To him, that tragic scene felt like the ultimate pleasure, didn't it? Your acting is way too fake. Student Amy June. That hand of yours was supposed to be pleading, but it didn't even shake. You weren't sincere. A hand truly begging for help would never look so steady. I will never forget that level of panic and raw pain for as long as I live. No matter how deep you hide, I'm going to rip that mask off with my own hands. I won't let a single demon in this classroom escape. I'll drag them into hell one by one. Meanwhile, the students in the front row were gossiping about a girl making bank from streaming. Did you hear? Some girl in the next class is using the name Ian for her live stream. That is totally insane. She is using Ian's name for views. Crazy. Some thought using a dead person's name was creepy, while others only cared about the money and didn't mind at all. Some thought the name was creepy, but others only cared about the clout. That girl is clearly using it on purpose to get attention and make some filthy money. They finally said the girl's name, Hong Ariam. In front of the camera, Hong Ariam gave a sweet smile and thanked everyone, clearly loving all the donations and the cheers. She promised her viewers she'd work even harder and reward them with some seriously dedicated performances. Her audience went wild, calling her the heart and soul of the channel. They loved how she was the one who really carried the whole vibe of the stream, since she was the core of the channel and set the vibe. Even the boss told the other girls they needed to learn from her. Massive donations flooded the screen. Between the sugar daddies bragging and the audience's jeering, the hype reached its absolute peak. As the hype peaked, Hong Ariam acted pleasantly surprised, thanking them in her sweetest voice while she harvested every single bit of that donor money. When a donor made a request, she immediately complied and started dancing in an even more provocative way. Streaming again tonight. No wonder you're always crashing in class. Sooner or later, this lifestyle is going to catch up with you. Hey boss, you like watching pretty girls stream too, right? Same here. So, you know about it too. Recommend some good ones to me. He told Kim Sang-in that those bottom-tier streamers on that platform could barely make any real money and would just end up getting trampled like ants. Even a guy like him, who dealt in usury, found that level of exploitation totally disgusting. He found that kind of exploitation disgusting. As long as the donations were high enough, the streamers would obey completely. I'm going to buy her answer with money. Kim Sang-in stared at the screen, tapping his fingers as he prepared to drop some serious cash. He threw money directly at the stream and demanded that Hong Ariam answer his specific question. He threw cash at the stream and demanded an answer. She joked with a smile that no performance was needed, just a question. But she still took the money. Kim Sang-in got straight to the point. What does that name actually mean? She put on a shy little act. That is a secret. Straight to the point. What does the name Ian mean? She put on a shy act, saying it was a secret. Hong Ariam lied easily, claiming Ian was just a doll she had as a kid. She said the name had no special meaning, except that the doll was broken now, turning Kim Yoon's death into a story about a broken doll. You're so composed, Hong Ariam. Now it's your turn to go to hell. I'll make you pay with your life. The story actually begins back at Solbit High School just 1 month earlier. The first time Lee Hyan saw Hong Ariam, her eyes were locked onto the bag sitting on Ariam's desk. That outrageously expensive luxury item on Ariam's desk left Lee Hyan completely rooted to the spot. The beautiful quilted pattern and the cold shine of the metal hardware. It was clearly a limited edition. Hong Ariam casually asked her back, "Do you want a bag like this too?" Lee Hyan couldn't help herself and asked where a bag that expensive even came from. Hong Ariam smiled and said she bought it doing part-time work. Right then, Lee Hyan was totally tempted and asked what that high-paying job was. Seeing Ariam's knowing look, Lee Hyan still didn't realize it was already too late. She had stepped right into a trap with no way out. I hadn't realized it was too late. She'd walked right into a trap with no way out. Only later did she understand that her simple request to be introduced would become the biggest regret of her entire life. At first, Hong Ariam just told her it was a normal live stream on a social media platform. Ariam dressed Hyan up from head to toe and shoved her out onto the stage for the live broadcast. Women on the stage were wearing almost nothing and moving suggestively. Hyan felt a cold shiver crawl down her spine. Ariam stood at the side, urging her to just keep smiling. This so-called ranking stream was really just explicit performances used to fish for expensive donations. For the sake of cash and rankings, everyone on camera became more shameless and totally unrestrained. Right then, Hyein finally realized she wasn't cut out for this kind of influencer work at all. As soon as the stream ended, the boss started screaming at her for being stiff and awkward. Those insults stung like needles in her heart, but she didn't even dare to talk back. Only because of Ariam's status did the boss finally agree to pay her an appearance fee. Hyein stared at her phone, not daring to hope for how much she might actually get. Then 1 million won was suddenly deposited into her bank account. Could making money really be this easy? Hyein started doubting herself until the day she saw Ariam's true colors. Who is Ian? That single question made Hyein go cold all over in an instant. She was just a doll I used to have. But now it's broken. That cold answer shattered her heart completely. Ariam's word doll sliced through every disguise like a sharp knife. Hyein suddenly remembered Ariam's stage name was the same as her teacher's. This was no coincidence, it was a setup. She finally saw the truth. Step by step, she was becoming Ariam's next favorite toy. She wanted out. Ariam, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Ariam replied coldly. Hyein, you can't leave. From the moment you walked in here, you were in debt. Why leave? Have I ever treated you poorly since we started working together? Hyein saw the truth. Ariam was just controlling her. This whole business was filthy to the core. To hell with you. I helped you make money, then you still dare talk like that. Listen up. As long as you're here, you stay at the very bottom of the ladder. Only the ones at the bottom go into debt. People at the top get the cash to spend. Understand? As usual, the boss shouted, next up, please welcome Ian. Then Ariam said something that made Hyen's mind go blank. Whoever donated the most could have dinner with this newcomer. The chat room exploded instantly. Donations flooded in while Hyein was treated like merchandise being bid on. Later, Ariam casually explained it was just a fan meal. I don't want this. This was all you're doing. Stop whining. Eating one single meal isn't going to kill you. Hyein stood there in shock. Then a man appeared. When he called her name, every hair on her body stood on end. This was the winner who spent a fortune for the dinner date. He was so disgusting it made her feel sick. Sorry, I'm not eating with you. I'm leaving right now. The man claimed he'd taken out loans and stolen from his mother just to meet her. He called her a liar and threatened to report the platform and force her to pay him back. But Hyein already hated this platform and everyone on it with a burning passion. Hyein went to find Ariam and said she had to leave and would never step foot back here again. Ariam stopped her. Where do you think you're going? You still owe this company serious money. From day one, she'd been working to redeem herself. Leaving meant a breach of contract and massive debt. Leaving meant breaking the contract and taking on more debt. Ariam grabbed her hair and forced her into that dinner. She said someone like Hyein was only good for this dirty work to keep the company running. She threw Hyein aside and turned her back to leave her there. You can't escape my grasp. The company managers walked over. Ariam called them to deal with her. They told Hyein to get back because people were waiting to donate. Then they reached out to drag her away while she struggled desperately. Hey, let her go. Both of you, release that girl right now. A split second later, Kim Se-in's heavy fist cracked the man's jaw. The second guy lunged at him. Kim Se-in's fist connected with the first guy's jaw. As the other charged, Se-in landed another brutal punch right on his chin. Se-in threw another hook, sending the guy's head spinning from the impact. The man stumbled for a moment before collapsing hard onto the pavement. Lee Hyein was totally stunned. How was her homeroom teacher this tough? You're Lee Hyein, right? Your homeroom teacher is this strong. Your name is Lee Hyein, right? I've got questions for you. Night fell over the city as the bridge lights flickered above us. I want you to tell me everything. The whole truth about what happened back then. He cut straight to it. What exactly did Hong Ariam do to my sister? Lee Hyen's hesitation was obvious, and Kim Se-in caught it immediately. She was clearly mixed up with Hong Ariam. Kim Se-in didn't push her. He just turned to walk away, leaving her with a heavy silence. She looked down, clearly torn, until finally she started talking. It all started on the very first day of the school year. Everyone saw Kim Yoon as the model teacher, always wearing that gentle smile every single day. She tried her best to connect with her students and stay approachable, but the class just wasn't buying any of it. She tried to stay approachable to connect with them, but the students didn't care. Hong Ariam, however, easily bought the whole class's loyalty with plenty of cash and pure vanity. Hong Ariam dominated the class with her wealth. The favors she handed out made everyone treat her like a queen, turning them into her personal puppets. Nobody could resist the temptation. Soon, the entire classroom felt like her own private garden. Kim Yoon and Ariam had a shaky peace, and the teacher even ignored it when she was constantly late. But nobody expected the real nightmare to start during cleaning duty that afternoon. Kim Yoon told Hong Aryam to mop the floor. It was her turn for the class chore. Hong Aryam just sneered. "I have money," she said. "I will just pay someone else to do it." A student nearby spoke up instantly. "Just pay me, and I will sweep it." Using her wealth, she gave Kim Yoon a brutal lesson. Some people just live in a different world. But Kim Yoon stopped Hong Aryam, refusing to let it slide. She didn't back down. Kim Yoon stopped Hong Aryam, telling her not to use money to excuse her selfishness. Society might care about money, but school isn't your playground. Responsibility and cooperation cannot be bought. She shoved the broom into Aryam's hands and watched her until the chore was finally finished. Aryam's eyes went cold. Right then, the first seed of revenge started to grow. 2 days later, Hong Aryam stormed into the faculty office and caused a massive scene. She burst into the office screaming. Her limited edition bag was missing, and she had a total meltdown, accusing everyone in sight. She kept pointing fingers at everyone. The entire class exploded, with students turning on each other and getting suspicious of their friends. She hysterically threatened to flip the whole school upside down. The teachers gave in and launched an absurd search. They looked everywhere from top to bottom, sparing not even the smallest corners. All that effort for just one single bag. Every student felt like they were in danger. Nobody knew who was going to take the fall. But then, Kim Yoon froze in horror. That missing bag was sitting right there in her own desk drawer. Every eye in the room pinned itself on her. Voices of doubt drowned her like a rising tide. This was exactly what Hong Aryam wanted. In front of everyone, she straight up branded Kim Yoon as a thief. She branded her a thief. Kim Yoon was stunned, never imagining she would have to apologize for something she didn't do. What hurt more was the school. Instead of protecting her, they pressured her to bow her head without a shred of evidence. They threatened her career and forced her to swallow the humiliation. Their focus on reputation was just a shield to protect the school board's image. Every word from the administration pushed her deeper into the abyss, leaving her completely trapped and helpless. She was totally trapped. In that moment, Kim Yoon finally understood. From the very beginning, she never really had a choice. She had no choice but to go talk to Hong Aryam. But the girl's attitude was even more arrogant than before. Hong Aryam refused to settle this in private. She forced Kim Yoon to apologize publicly, humiliating the teacher in front of her entire class. She had to apologize publicly. The students kept whispering, and by then, every single one of them had already decided their teacher was just a common thief. Kim Yoon finally broke down. She had no choice but to bow her head to Hong Aryam. Utterly humiliated, she knelt down and apologized for a crime she never committed. Those 2 words, "I am sorry," were the final straw. They became Hong Aryam's proudest trophy. Hong Aryam flashed a savage smile. She had won. From that day on, the thief teacher label stuck to Kim Yoon. Everywhere she went, people pointed and whispered. Everywhere she went, people whispered. Everyone gave her strange looks, and all respect and trust for her collapsed overnight. But right then, Lee Hye-in saw the truth with her own eyes. She realized it was Hong Aryam who personally handed that bag to the teacher. It was a total frame-up, a trap she had staged herself. A frame-up she staged herself. Kim Sang-hoin fell silent. From the very start, this was nothing but a twisted, malicious act of revenge against his own sister. Guilt consumed Lee Hye-in. She regretted not speaking up sooner. Forced to watch helplessly as Kim Yi-han's dignity was crushed and shattered right under their feet. That word, pride, stabbed into Kim Sang-hoin's heart like a blade. It felt like a spike, pinning down the tragedy of his sister's entire life. Her life pinned by that spike. A memory surfaced from even earlier lying on the rooftop. Kim Yoon told Kim Sang-hoin she just wanted to live with honor and no regrets. She wanted to live with honor, beyond reproach. Kim Sang-hoin didn't get it, but Kim Yi-han was resolute. To be a teacher, she had to protect her own dignity first. Word by word, she made a promise. No matter what happened, she would live her life openly and with integrity. She just wanted to stand proudly before her students. She wanted to be someone truly worthy of being called a teacher. But reality hit her with a brutal blow. While trying to protect her dignity, she was humiliated until she was barely recognizable. Kneeling in public became a scar she could never erase. It was the cruelest proof of this tragedy. Something deeper than pride shattered inside Kim Yi-han. Kim Sang-hoin felt a storm of emotions, but one thing was certain. Hong Aryam was going to pay a heavy price for her absolute stupidity. It was clear Hong Aryam would pay for her stupidity. He looked at the guilt-ridden Lee Hye-in. "If you want redemption," he said, "then you need to help me." The debt collection started now. The reckoning against Hong Aryam had officially begun. The The scene shifted as the live stream was about to go live, with everyone standing by. Hong Ariam was still acting arrogant, complaining about why the girls she bullied hadn't even shown up to the stream yet. She had no clue that her own malice had already invited a total disaster right onto her doorstep. In her eyes, other people's pain was nothing but entertainment. They were just toys for her to play with. Lee Hye-in suddenly appeared and apologized publicly, which immediately threw off Hong Ariam's entire rhythm and confidence. One of her male followers started cursing and shouting threats, warning that if the girl messed up again, she was practically dead. Dead, Hong Ariam just kept mocking her, sneering that the girl was finally getting serious about fighting for that number 1 spot. Lee Hye-in tied her hair back. "I am back for first place," she said. Elsewhere, a boss was publicly ripping into one of his subordinates. This subordinate had been stuck at the bottom of the rankings forever. She could only lower her head and swallow the humiliation. After ranking last for 3 weeks straight, she became the office joke. Even her explanations were forced to turn into humble apologies. Her co-workers' mockery felt like ice blades. Each sentence they spat was even crueler than the last one. The boss's interrogation came crashing down, telling her not to stream today so she wouldn't drag down the platform's overall revenue. The woman left in disgrace, leaving only cold laughter and indifference in her wake. Hong Ariam mocked her loudly. "You finally crawled home, you last-place loser," she sneered. The boss told everyone to bring their highest energy and start today's money-grabbing live stream event. It kicked off with a high-energy dance, instantly heating up the room as the donors' wallets were emptied bit by bit. As those wallets were drained, Hong Ariam flashed a heart at the camera, greeting her fans in a sickeningly sweet voice. But when one specific figure appeared, the smile on Hong Ariam's face froze instantly, replaced by pure shock. Her face froze in shock. Lee Hye-in, who used to be in last place, had returned looking almost perfect and completely renewed. She stepped up right beside Hong Ariam and boldly declared she was challenging for the number 1 spot. Looking into Lee Hye-in's eyes, Hong Ariam finally realized it. This girl was actually being dead serious. She realized she was serious. Hong Ariam sneered, determined to make her understand who the real queen of this platform was. She would show her who was queen. The first donation arrived right on time, and this battle for the throne officially began. Hong Ariam flaunted herself for the camera, convinced that trash like Lee Hye-in could never shake her. She publicly flexed her fan base, using a contemptuous tone to belittle her as a nobody. Belittling Lee Hye-in as a nobody, Hong Ariam glanced sideways at her. She said she admired the struggle. Licking her lips, she enjoyed the thrill of trampling her opponent, waiting for her to break down. She loved trampling opponents, just like when she drove that teacher into a dead end. Hong Ariam immersed herself in the twisted pleasure of destroying people, enjoying the process of crushing their dignity bit by bit. But then, a $20,000 donation suddenly dropped, instantly shattering Hong Ariam's sense of control. That huge donation shattered her control. Hong Ariam couldn't believe it. How could a loser like Lee Hye-in get a massive donation like that? Then another $20,000 dropped. The place erupted. For the first time, Hong Ariam felt what it was like to be dragged off her pedestal. Lee Hye-in spoke calmly, telling Hong Ariam to give up her spot. She demanded the center position, and that cold calmness cut straight into Hong Ariam's nerves. Hong Ariam forcibly suppressed her rage and squeezed out a tight, fake smile. She could only watch helplessly as Lee Hye-in stole the spotlight that should have belonged to her. Hong Ariam retreated to the side, full of resentment. She could not understand how Lee Hye-in was getting so many donations. How is Lee Hye-in racking up these donations? She is owning that stage like it is her grand comeback, while Hong Ariam is just a prop. Ariam actually thinks the cash went to the wrong person. The sting of being passed made her skin crawl, so she went straight to her fan club to start a war. Hong Ariam played the victim in her group chat, using her most pathetic voice to trick those suckers into throwing cash to fix her rank. Looking at the chat's response, she finally let out a breath and flashed a cold, confident smile of certain victory. Her fan club was totally hyped. Every single one of them insisted they had to protect her number 1 spot at all cost. Watching the numbers climb, Hong Ariam got an adrenaline rush and started pushing those human ATMs to move even faster. She pressured her fans to hurry up. As donations rained down, Ariam gloated that Lee Hye-in did not stand a chance. Lee Hye-in could not stop her. Ariam arrogantly told her to go be a backup dancer, not even seeing her as a real rival. Lee Hye-in coldly turned around. "The center is mine." Those words completely ripped apart Hong Ariam's massive ego. Those words shredded Ariam's confidence, but a second later, another $20,000 donation dropped out of nowhere. Another $20,000 dropped. Hong Ariam is panicking now, not even daring to blink. Lee Hyun's donations flooded in like a massive tidal wave, instantly turning Hong Ariam's lead into nothing but dust. Ariam tried to look calm, but she was freaking out inside. She had no idea what was actually happening. Seeing the money flood the screen, the boss was so hyped he couldn't even talk. In 6 years, he had never seen anything like this. This endless combo of donations literally blew up the entire room. Hong Ariam's heart was racing along with the numbers, feeling like she was about to explode. Lee Hyun threw Ariam's own insults back at her, word for word. While Ariam's fans finally started to run out of steam, she repeated every insult back to her face. Watching Lee Hyun take center stage, Ariam realized her throne was officially in danger. Then a $30,000 donation slammed down and the boss lost it. Lee Hyun's score totally crushed Ariam's. Lee Hyun's score left Ariam's in the dust. The rankings were out. Lee Hyun took first, and the girl who used to be last had officially stolen the crown. Ariam completely broke down. She actually lost to the person she had spent her whole career looking down on. Lee Hyun climbed to the top by walking all over Ariam's pride. Now, Ariam was nothing more than a stepping stone. She was just a stepping stone now. Ariam forced herself to chill. She still had one ace left, that mysterious guy who kept her at number 1. The Bampo God building owner always used massive donations to make Hong Ariam the undisputed queen of live streaming. Her sugar daddy's cash kept her on top. Ariam didn't care about his shady business as long as the money kept flowing. She messaged him immediately, acting like a victim so he would buy her way back to first. She told the camera that her comeback was coming. Just wait, Lee Hae-yan. I'm coming back. Lee Hae-yan was still soaking up the applause, unaware Ariam was planning to ruin her. But when the final rankings flashed, Ariam froze. She was in dead last. How was that even possible? Dead last? No way. Ariam stared at the board and her world collapsed. The girl who was always first was now the absolute bottom. Her world crumbled. The permanent number 1 was now last place. She couldn't believe it. Not second, not third, but last? Other streamers mocked her live, calling her Mississippi last place and trashing her reputation. The voices were vicious. A loser at the bottom should just stay down. Ariam stood there in a cold sweat. The boss knew why she failed, but Ariam had no clue. Most of her money came from that one mysterious sugar daddy, but today, he was a total no-show. The cash that usually went to her was flowing to other streamers instead, and the audience was loving the drama. It was simple. In these competitive streams, seeing the top star fall is exactly what the viewers want to see. She was still lying to herself. It wasn't over. Even with only a little time left, she thought she could flip the script. She refused to be the bottom-tier streamer that everyone looked down on forever. She wouldn't be a loser. She started frantically demanding to know where her sugar daddy had gone. She kept demanding to find her sugar daddy. Suddenly, the scene cuts to a smashed phone covered in blood. A violent ambush had gone down. Thugs were falling left and right, leaving only groans of pain. The bloody leader demanded to know who did this. A cold voice spoke up. I found you, the mysterious sugar daddy who has been bankrolling Hong Ariam. Now you will pay for the money laundering and debt crimes, Mr. Kong Jang-dae. Kim Sang-in finally tracked him down with a photo of the man worshipped in the streaming world. People said Kong owned an entertainment company, but it was a total scam. It was built entirely on fake donations, and the problems were obvious from the start. They used sponsorship as a cover for fake transactions, laundering money and dodging taxes. That was their real business. It was basically money for nothing. After the platform's cut, the funds were kicked back as cashback, making it a perfect laundering scheme. Once you peel back the layers, it was just a criminal operation. Since that was clear, the next move was easy. Kong Jang-dae was still acting tough, not realizing he was finished. He thought a weapon would help him beat Kim Sang-in. He thought he could win, but he couldn't even touch Kim Sang-in. Everything he tried was totally useless. I told you, you have no right to say no. The pain broke him, and he could only wail on the ground as the interrogation began. If your ears are useless, there is no point keeping them. A sharp scream ripped through the air, and this round of payback finally stopped. Kim Sang-in called his crew to get ready. The negotiation was officially over. Done. Now the plan would move right into its next phase. In the studio, people laughed at the camera, waiting for a drama with a pre-written script to unfold. They exposed the truth. Without her sponsor, Hong Ariam could not even keep her rank. Waves of pure humiliation crashed over her, pushing her to the breaking point on camera. Yet the live stream still continued. They laughed while trampling her dignity, leaving her with absolutely nothing. The stream was still live as they crushed her pride. What crushed Hong Ariam most was seeing the viewers mock her downfall right alongside the others. Some people are still dreaming that I am different, refusing to accept that I am at the bottom. Stuck at the bottom, Hong Ariam finally snapped and screamed hysterically. Shut up. I am the biggest star in this room. The director finally lost his cool and ordered her out of the studio immediately. Hong Ariam, without anyone donating to you, you are nothing. Stop acting like some big celebrity here. She struggled uselessly as the staff shoved and dragged her, forcing her to get out. The director smiled at the camera to smooth things over, using her meltdown to boost the show's ratings. Exploiting her breakdown for the show, her former rivals spoke in mocking half-truths to the camera. She essentially branded her with the label of being dead last for everyone to see. Clips of her breakdown went viral instantly, turning her into the screaming girl everyone loved to mock. Hong Ariam thought the donations would stop without her, but reality slapped her hard in the face. Seeing others start a stream and instantly hit 10,000 likes, she finally realized she was just a puppet for her sponsor. Hong Ariam stared at the screen, realizing Lee Hyun's sudden explosion in popularity was never about luck. That familiar donation ID revealed the truth. Lee Hyun's new sponsor was the same man who once supported her. The same man who once backed her had personally dragged her down, only to lift someone else up. She was just a discarded chess piece. Hong Ariam eventually returned to school as if nothing happened, acting friendly with her former rival once again. Hong Ariam went back to school acting like everything was totally fine. She smiled at Lee Hyun, telling her she always knew she had incredible talent from the very start. Hong Ariam claimed she knew Lee Hyun would blow up. Since she introduced her to the business, she felt she deserved some of the credit. As she spoke, she rummaged through her bag, getting a gift ready. Hong Ariam handed over a designer bag, the exact same brand that first caught Lee Hyun's eye. She said they were besties and this gift was nothing. Best friends should help and understand each other without needing to say a word. Then, Hong Ariam leaned close to Lee Hyun's ear, asking for an introduction to the sponsor behind her success. Unexpectedly, Lee Hyun agreed without hesitation. She even said the sponsor wanted to meet her because he saw great potential. Lee Hyun even told her exactly who the sponsor was and set up the meeting. While arranging the meeting, Hong Ariam plotted how to steal the sponsor, never expecting the chance to come so quickly. Standing at the luxury hotel entrance, Hong Ariam learned her new sponsor was actually an entertainment company looking to sign her. Meeting at a top-tier hotel like this was perfect. The smell of wealth was the scent she knew best and loved most. Lee Hyun pretended to be shocked, acting like the sponsor being a company was a huge surprise. She played her part perfectly. Hong Ariam realized Lee Hyun's rise was funded by the company. This was her ticket back to the top and her own path to a comeback. Seeing her path to a comeback, Lee Hyun smoothly added that her own performance was not good enough. Yet, she wanted to recommend a newcomer to the company, and Hong Ariam was secretly overjoyed. Since she was the one recommended, Hong Ariam acted flattered and thanked her repeatedly. She never realized that until her dying day, she was just a stepping stone for someone else's rise. Hong Ariam arrived at the hotel as planned. The CEO's greetings set the mood instantly. The show had officially begun. Shin Jong-yu of Chunghong Entertainment personally welcomed her. This made Hong Ariam feel like she was back on top. She knew this step was a total success. Shin Jong-yu took her inside to discuss a deal, saying he wanted to sign her immediately. However, Hong Ariam did not notice the eyes watching from the shadows. Hong Ariam was delighted, never noticing the eyes watching her from the dark. She had no idea the trap was already set for her. Back when Kim sang-in collected debts, he once stood with his mentor and issued orders to a group of debtors. His mentor told them the price of their debt was to work for him. For a month, they had to eat every meal at a specific restaurant, and nobody dared to complain. After they left, Kim sang-in was confused. Why help a restaurant owner who owed money? His mentor smiled, saying this was how you really collect a debt. Just watch the show. Kim sang-in knew this month would be anything but simple for everyone. Now, Shin Jong-yu promised Hong Ariam a future as a major star. The moment she heard that, her eyes lit up. He struck while the iron was hot, using top-tier treatment as bait while waiting for her to sign the deal. Hong Ariam claimed the terms were perfect, but deep down, she knew she was just there to cash in. Honestly, the whole deal felt almost too good to be true. But the offer was insane and the guy looked way too young. A cold chill started crawling up her spine. Something was definitely off. Everything felt totally wrong. It was like Shin Jong-yu read her mind. He smirked and asked if he looked like a scammer. Hong Ariam panicked and quickly shot him down. Then Shin Jong-yu dangled an even bigger carrot. That same night, Hong Ariam would take over Lee Hae-yan's spot on the big ranking live stream. If she showed up for the stream, she would see for herself just how serious they really were about her. Back in the studio, the host announced that their star, Lee Hyen, was a no-show. Instead, Hong Aryam would be stepping in to take her place. Hong Aryam just smirked to herself. She wasn't there to get roasted. She was there to reclaim exactly what she deserved from the start. The chat was brutal, loaded with hate and insults. People who loved her a few days ago flipped the script faster than you can blink. It finally clicked. That person was never actually trying to help her. They just threw her straight into the fire to watch her burn. The host was still faking it for the drama. They never cared about her. She was just a way to farm views and drive up traffic. Hong Aryam felt like a total fool. Shaking with rage, she regretted ever setting foot in that absolute nightmare of a place. But a second later, the whole vibe shifted. That smug look on the host's face froze up in an instant. All the other streamers were stunned. Nobody saw this coming, a move that was about to flip the entire broadcast on its head. Watching it unfold, Hong Aryam just laughed. The real show was starting. The host stuttered, announcing a massive donation for Aryam, and the whole stream absolutely exploded. 500,000 hearts crushed the rankings and broke every record. Hong Aryam shot straight to number 1. Now that is what real support looks like. Aryam was officially number 1. She had not even signed a contract yet, but they were already throwing massive resources her way. She was set. Who would dare laugh now? As soon as they cut the feed, Hong Aryam tracked the guy down. She smiled and told him she was finally ready to sign. Shinjan, you didn't miss a beat. He told her he would have the paperwork ready for her to sign right away. Aryam needed to be sure about one thing. Would she have to work with Lee Hyen again? Shinjong Yu told her not to worry. Why would they need her? Why keep the old star when they had Aryam? But when the contract hit the table, she realized she couldn't understand a word of it. Her heart started racing. Party A, Party B, delegated authority. She stared at the legal jargon, and her brain just completely shut down. Shinjong Yu saw her struggling immediately. With a sneer in his voice, he asked if this was actually her first time reading a contract. Hong Aryam tried to play it cool, acting like everything was fine while she brushed it off. On the inside, though, she was totally losing it. Shinjong Yu told her not to stress about the monthly pay. Looking up at that massive office tower in downtown Seoul, she felt safe. Staring at the skyscraper, Hong Aryam figured a company this huge would never scam a small creator like her. Once she signed that paper, she would definitely be a superstar overnight. Aryam grit her teeth and signed the paperwork. She knew if she let this opportunity slip away, it might never come around again. The second she put pen to paper, she truly believed she had finally taken control of her own destiny. In that moment, she felt like she was winning. But across the table, the man was staring at that signed contract with pure greed in his eyes. To keep up her image as the queen of sponsorships, Hong Aryam started spending like crazy, buying only the most expensive designer labels. To stay in shape, she lived at the gym, treating every drop of sweat like the price of her success. Before long, she really was the sponsorship queen everyone claimed she was. Huge deals were raining down on her like a storm. She had finally made it to the absolute top of the mountain. Hong Aryam soaked up all the applause, and her ego started to explode. She wasn't happy just being a streamer anymore. She wanted more. Payday finally arrived, and she walked into that high-rise building feeling like she was on top of the world. It was profit-sharing day. She had been streaming day and night, so no matter how they crunched the numbers, her payout was going to be massive. She knocked on the office door with high hopes, but was greeted with nothing but cold, formal politeness. He looked serious, stressing that the amount was huge, but she could see him calculating something behind those eyes. Hong Aryam tried to hide her excitement. Her head was spinning with visions of a massive string of zeros. Every second she spent watching him type away at that keyboard felt like absolute torture. The clicking of the keys was fast and intense. Aryam prayed she was about to get a multi-million-dollar surprise. Suddenly, the story shifts gears as we cut back to the school. Lee Hyen asked her teacher why everything seemed to be going so perfectly for Hong Aryam lately. It wasn't luck. It was all a mirage, a total setup. Aryam is just prey waiting for the harvest. This help is actually a trap. 3 months later, a restaurant was destroyed. A sacrifice for the scam. The mentor smiled, saying the owner owed for 100 million won, yet died never knowing how he got played. The mentor decided to teach Kim Sang-in a lesson by breaking down the entire scam, from start to finish. It started when the owner borrowed 50 million won for his restaurant. At first, it looked like a favor. He worked hard, business was booming, and he paid back on time. Right when half the debt was paid, the mentor quietly tightened the noose around his neck. That tiny shop was barely hanging on. Then customer traffic tripled overnight, and the real nightmare began from there. Seeing the business boom, The owner thought his struggle was finally over and his luck had turned. His head was filled with expansion, but he lacked the startup cash. A thought took root: borrow just one more time. But he didn't realize that the second he signed that loan, the trap was set. The traffic vanished overnight, and the interest snowballed until it crushed him. That hard-working owner was destroyed piece by piece, and only at the end did he see the truth. He broke down in tears. His good luck was just a web woven by someone else. The cruelest way to break a person is to give them false hope. It's really that simple. Simple as that. And right now, Homeroom was walking straight into the exact same trap. It's simple. Right now, Homeroom was going through the same thing. She thought she found a savior, when really, someone had planted the poison of hope in her heart. Kim Sang-yoon turned and walked away. Homeroom's personal hell had officially started. No profit share yet. Homeroom had been waiting for that huge payout, but she got a sentence cold enough to freeze her blood. Final settlement amount is negative 300 million won. Ms. Homeroom. Ariam's face went ghost white. She had worked herself to the bone. So how could she possibly owe money? Shin Jong-yu dropped the act and showed his true, savage face. Kim Sang-yoon was now her creditor. And Kim Sang-yoon was now her creditor. What the hell? Why is a debt collector here? And why is it her own homeroom teacher? Now she would pay for everything she had done. As of today, her torment was only just beginning. Kim Sang-yoon grabbed Homeroom by the hair, making her scream out in pure pain. Ariam kept shouting that this was extortion, but Kim Sang-yoon spoke coldly. You still don't get it. You started this game. We just took it a step further. In other words, you owe me 300 million won. He pulled her hair and forced her to listen. If you owe a debt, you repay it. Even on her deathbed, Homeroom never could have imagined that her creditor would be her own homeroom teacher. She was still screaming that a teacher couldn't lay hands on a student. Not knowing Kim Sang-yoon never came here to teach. Knowing that Kim Sang-yoon never came to teach, he made her listen carefully. Stop struggling. From this moment on, she would finally pay the price for everything she had done. Struggling now, she was going to pay the price. She would use everything she had to pay for Kim Hyeon's life. She had to pay for Kim Yen's life. At a time like this, you're seriously asking what 300 million won means. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Even now you don't see the situation you're in. It doesn't matter. The result will not change. You don't need to understand. You just need to repay every single cent you owe me. The contract is there in black and white. You signed it yourself, so don't even try to deny it. Ariam stubbornly claimed it was fraud, forgetting every word she had signed. Not paying, then I'll tell the whole world you're a deadbeat who refuses to pay back their debt. Starting with your parents, I'll notify everyone who knows you. Whether you're working, being married, or fleeing, I will chase you to the end of the earth. Even if you die, I will dig the money out of your funeral expenses. That is the cost of owing me money. You really want to know who I am? I am the older brother of the teacher you literally drove to death. You want to know who I am? I am the older brother of the teacher you drove to death. At the same time, I am a loan shark. I am not a good person. I'm a loan shark, and I'm not a good person. Only then did Ariam realize what kind of man she provoked. Now that you've figured it out, get up. Use your labor to repay the debt you owe me. Following Kim Sang-yoon into Makan Station, she still had no idea what kind of nightmare was waiting. This was Seoul's famous gathering place for the wire streamers. This was Seoul's famous spot for wire streamers. They sat in rows broadcasting like sparrows on electric wires. That's where the name came from. These people had no bottom line for donations. They were the absolute lowest tier of the streaming world. Ariam desperately refused, forgetting that she didn't have a choice anymore. Ariam desperately refused, forgetting she had no choice. Besides this fast way to make money, do you have any other skill to repay this debt? She tried to argue that there was no way this kind of streaming could pay back 300 million won. If 300 million is impossible, then pay 5 million first. You can manage that, right? Pay 5 million first. You can manage that, right? The massive number suddenly became 5 million, and Ariam saw a glimmer of hope. That total suddenly became 5 million, and Ariam saw hope. Before Kim Sang-yoon even mentioned interest, she agreed, afraid he might change his mind. Before he even mentioned interest, she agreed, afraid he'd change his mind. Naively, she thought once she paid 5 million, she'd finally be free from him and this debt. Kim Sang-yoon could guarantee the deal, as long as she actually paid him back. Start your live stream now. I am watching everything, so do not try any tricks. You really think 5 million won is that easy to make? Keep clinging to that false hope. Soon you will realize just how heavy 5 million really feels. Hong Ariam took a deep breath and hit go live. Her hellish debt repayment had officially begun. It had officially started. She forced a fake smile and used those sweet lines to please her fans, not realizing this was no longer her stage. The viewers saw right through her. This was territory for wilder streamers. So Hong Ariam quickly lied and said she was just trying out a brand new style. A 10,001 donation forced her to dance in public. Her pride was absolutely crushed on the spot. Hong Ariam still tried to act superior. She complained the tips were too small, trying to use her old fame to control the chat. She kept trying to boss the audience around, but the comments slapped her right in the face. Nobody was buying her act anymore. Deep down she was cursing the viewers, but she had to play nice. All her old arrogance was completely gone now. She kept pretending to be obedient while losing her pride. Watching her act so self-important, Kim Sang-yoon knew she had not yet faced any true, deadly consequences. It was time for class. School was in session. Hong Ariam was busy complaining that the chat did not know her worth, bragging about the old days when one dance earned 1,000,001. Suddenly, the man Kim Sang-yoon sent was standing right there. The man sent by Kim Sang-yoon stood right in front of her. With a single kick, he smashed her phone and tripod, crushing her last bit of luck. She tried to threaten him, but the man's verbal abuse choked every single word back down her throat. People walking by just thought this was some scripted YouTube prank. Not a single person stood up for her. Since nobody helped, the man got real with her. Kim Sang-yoon sent him to monitor her live stream. He had actually traded his own debt just to get this job. Even worse, Kim Sang-yoon promised that every single one she earned from donations would go straight toward paying off the principal. Every cent earned went to the debt. Like a total lunatic, the man forced her to face the cold truth. If she kept throwing these tantrums, she might actually end up dead. Her life was on the line. Finally, Hong Ariam understood that she no longer had the luxury of being picky. To pay back the money, she threw away her pride and danced right in the street. There was nothing left but pure humiliation. She dragged herself through the mud, desperately begging her viewers for any kind of donation. Even for 10,000 won, she had to obey. The chains of this debt were wrapped around her tight. Her sad street livestream turned into a total joke. Only then did she finally realize what hard labor actually felt like. Suddenly, it was the final deadline for repayment. She had scraped together 5,000,000 won, just one small step away from her goal. She still tried to save a little dignity, stubbornly refusing to do an even more embarrassing show. She did not notice that trouble was already closing in. A local gang of streamers showed up to block her path. They told her to get the hell out of their territory immediately. They made it clear they were there to kick her out. They mocked her for trying to steal their viewers when she did not even have a crew. Hong Ariam still had not learned her lesson and talked back, which immediately set the other streamers off. Furious with her attitude, they announced right then that they were going to teach her a lesson. She was pinned to the pavement and beaten while her live stream viewers just watched and mocked the whole scene. She curled up to protect her head as they stole her gear, leaving her with absolutely no way to fix the situation. Her attackers kept laughing. Nobody would donate to a streamer getting beat up, and her 5,000,001 goal was officially dead. A viewer put up a 1,000,001 bounty to see her head shaved bald. She still did not get it. This was not a joke. It was a punishment. The local thug pulled out hair clippers to cash in on that bet. They were professionals at doing this kind of thing to people. Hong Ariam was pinned down so hard that struggling was useless. She could only watch in terror as the clippers came closer to her head. She screamed in total despair, but it was too late. Her streaming career was cut short right along with her long hair. Her career was gone, along with her hair. That night, 5,000,000 won was transferred to Kim Sang-yoon. She thought the debt was paid, and the nightmare was finally over. Kim Sang-yoon tracked down Hong Ariam and calmly asked if she really thought everything was over. He asked if it was over. With bloodshot eyes, Hong Ariam broke down and demanded to know why. She had paid the money back and was begging him to just let her go. Kim Sang-yoon told her the cold truth, that 5,000,000 was only the principal amount. She had not paid a single cent in interest yet. Hong Ariam was speechless. Back then, she had signed for the 5,000,000 without even reading the interest clause. She had been doomed from the very beginning. Kim Sang-yoon delivered the sentence. Weekly interest was 100%. Today, she owed him a total of 10,000,000 won. Hong Ariam collapsed. Even if she worked herself to death, she could never pay it back. Not in a single lifetime. You owe me, even dead. You are paying up. Get back out there and keep earning, Hong Ariam. You are paying back every cent, even if it kills you. Get back out there and earn, Hong Ariam. Right then, she absolutely loathed the woman who had dragged her into this nightmare. Why should her whole life be trash for someone else? Hong Ariam wasn't about to just give up. A dark plan formed in her mind. She went to Samak Entertainment and made a public vow if they could handle that lunatic, she would do whatever they asked, anything at all. She would do anything if they just took care of that psycho. King Jiangde, the head of Samak Entertainment, recognized those glasses immediately. He had been hunting that piece of trash for a long time himself. With one command, he gathered the crew. Today, we crush that guy in the glasses. I want to get on top of him and rip him apart. Suddenly, a familiar voice sent a chill through the air. The sound of leather shoes clicked across the construction site. No need to look, I knew you would all be here. Seems you haven't learned. How about I beat you all down again? The scene cuts to a tea house, where the afternoon sun splits the room into light and shadow. The man across from Huang Byung-hyen stared him down like they were making a life-or-death trade. Huang Byung-hyen's fingers brushed the rim of his cup, but the other man cut him off with a sharp, cold no. Huang Byung-hyen took a sip of his iced tea and spoke calmly. He is not for hire. Kim Sang-in is the backbone of Junhong Capital. He is the heart of Junhong Capital, so he is not going anywhere. The other man dropped his spoon, sounding desperate. None of my guys have clean hands like him. I just want to borrow him to train my crew and show them the ropes. If Junhong needs staff, we can send some your way too. No need. Junhong has plenty of people. Huang Byung-hyen spoke slowly, emphasizing every word. In any case, Kim Sang-in is off limits. To me, that guy is a gold mine. His tone changed as he glanced behind the other man with a smirk. Besides, do not you have managerly? Baekchun blinked and turned to see who he was looking at. It was Lee Gubium from Baiken Loans. Lee Gubium from Baiken Loans leaned back against the sofa with a mocking grin. Chairman Huang sure has a way with words. My old man is constantly telling me to be more like Kim Sang-in. I am sick of hearing it. I am tired of being told to follow Kim's lead. Baekchun looked at Lee Gubium. That is because your debt collection is way too messy. If you were half as smooth as Kim, things would not have turned into such a disaster. Chairman Huang, what is your take? On one side, you have the money maker Kim Sang-in. On the other, you have me, Lee Gubium of Baiken Loans. His eyes were sharp as a blade as he stared at Huang Byung-hyen. Which one of us is worth more? Cut back to the site. Kim Sang-in looked at the crowd and spoke flatly. More people than I thought. Looking at the massive crowd, Kim Sang-in noted there were about 31 of them. Fine, that is enough for a real fight, Kang Jiangde sneered. You run a loan shark business and play teacher just to avenge your sister. That is pathetic. Pretending to be a teacher for revenge is a joke. Shaking with anger, he yelled. You should have handed Hong Ariam over back then. We haven't made a single dime all month, and now we are drowning in debt. That just proves you are incompetent. Drowning in debt just proves you are bad at your job. Kim Sang-in's voice was as cold as iron. I am only here for one thing, to take Hong Ariam back so she can work. I am just here to bring Hong Ariam back. King Jiangde's eyes turned murderous. Since you walked into this trap, do not think about leaving. We are going to use you as a punching bag first. His guys stirred, ready to pounce. His men were itching for a fight. Kill him. As soon as the order dropped, the crowd rushed Kim Sang-in like a tidal wave. The mob surged forward like a flood. Kim Sang-in's eyes went ice cold as he silently watched the trash rushing toward him. Watching them run at him, he thought, damn it. Because of this guy, our whole monthly income is gone. If I want to satisfy the bosses, I am going to need this bastard's head on a platter. A second later, a scream ripped through the air. Everyone's expression shifted instantly. King Jiangde barely dodged one of his own men flying at him. But in a flash, Kim Sang-in had already taken down every single one of his men. With the entire crew neutralized, Kim Sang-in stood amidst the chaos, blood still dripping from his fingers. He looked over at Hong Ariam, his voice sounding absolutely frozen. Do not run. Wait for me. Kim Sang-in stayed low and charged the crowd. It was over in a heartbeat. Screams echoed one by one. Cold sweat ran down Hong Ariam's back as she shook with pure terror. Terrified, she watched Kim Sang-in land punch after punch. Clean, precise, and lethal. His enemies folded like paper. They could not even track his movements, they just had to take the hits. Honestly, watching the carnage, Kang Jiangde completely froze. Blood leaked from the guy's mouth. He could not even find the words to beg for mercy. He could not even beg. As Kim Sang-in looked at his own blood-soaked fist, King Jiangde's last bit of courage completely shattered. His will was broken. When that final punch landed, the entire construction site went dead silent. Complete silence. Now, it is your turn. Since you came all this way, do not think about leaving until I have had some fun. Hong Ariam collapsed onto the ground. Only one thought remained in her head. This time, she was truly, completely finished. King Jiangde panicked, his voice trembling as he yelled wait. With a thud, he fell to his knees. His head slammed against the dirt as he screamed for mercy. He stayed there, terrified to look up, babbling some nonsense explanation. Kim Sang-in just raised an eyebrow, not even bothering to listen to him. King Jiangde kept slamming his head down, sobbing and begging for a break. Then a strange voice suddenly cut through the air. Hey, look at this. A grown man groveling on the floor. Seeing a grown man grovel like that is pathetic. A black-haired man stepped out, his voice dripping with sarcasm. You are not a kid anymore. Lift your head. The guy with the black hair skinned the wreck on the ground, his grin getting wider. You really think you can just walk away from this disaster? Kong Jiande started to open his mouth to defend himself. Kong Jiande was ready to make excuses. He wanted to pin the whole thing on Kim Sang-in, but before he could say a word, the man gave him a look that forced the words right back down his throat. The man was not about to listen to any more garbage. A twisted smile played on his lips. Instead of listening to you ramble on and on, I would much rather hear what team leader Kim Sang-in has to say. That sounds way more interesting. Kim Sang-in looked up at Lee Kyu-bum and called it out in one go. The fact that you are even here means he owes money to Baekjin loans. Lee Kyu-bum just nodded with a smirk. That is right. They usually pay up, but they are late today. Looks like you got caught in the middle of it too. He looked at the pink-haired woman collapsed on the floor and figured it out instantly. So, she is the reason. The woman was shaking, barely breathing. Kim Sang-in looked at him. I only came to pick someone up. But now I am stuck in your mess. Lee Kyu-bum laughed. Should we ask Junhong for a refund? No, that is too much work and ruins the vibe. Kim Sang-in narrowed his eyes. Is there a better way? I did mess with Baekjin Loan's business, and I am not hiding from that. But I can tell you have something else on your mind. Lee Kyu-bum smiled wider. Was I really that obvious? He started talking, bringing up that meeting at the cafe from a while back. Back then, Chairman Huan asked a question. Who is more useful, you or Sang-in? It is a tough call. Baekjin did not even hesitate. What is so hard about that? Kim Sang-in is obviously better for business. People even call him the loan shark teacher. Lee Kyu-bum gave a little grin. Usually, people just suck up to whoever is standing in front of them. But since Chairman Huang said it too, it must be the truth. Baekjin joked along. I already told you Sang-in was tougher, you little brat. Chairman Huang changed the subject. But there is one thing where Sang-in just can't compete with Manager Lee. Baekjin looked annoyed. Better at what exactly? Fighting is a huge part of the loan shark world. Sang-in can hold his own. But Manager Lee, his physical talent is on a whole different level. It is a natural gift. Back in the present, Lee Kyu-bum stared him down. All those old guys talk you up like some legendary loan shark. I want to see if you actually deserve the hype. I have a proposal for the loan shark teacher. Look, no matter how you spin it, you definitely got in the way of our debt collection today. We could try to talk things out with Junhong, but that would just be a massive, annoying headache for everyone involved. He cracked his wrist and got into a fighting stance. If you can actually beat me, we will just forget any of this ever happened. Do not overthink it, Team Leader Kim. The stage is already set. My hands are itching. Let us get started. Kim Sang-in did not hesitate. He accepted the fight right then and there. But Lee Kyu-bum wanted more. He raised the stakes. If Kim Sang-in lost, that woman's entire debt would be wiped clean too. Kim Sang-in knew the girl owed a fortune, but he still owed Baekjin a favor for earlier. Then let us do this. Kim Sang-in took his stance. Lee Kyu-bum was thrilled that Kim Sang-in was actually sticking around. He was already picturing the rush of taking him down. Hong Ariam never thought she would be used as a literal betting chip in a street fight. Kim Sang-in suggested sealing the deal with a thumbprint. Lee Kyu-bum just laughed. What? You want to sign it in your own blood? Baekjin Credit was the biggest name in the underground. They were the undisputed, reigning kings of the entire Jeonyo district loan shark scene. Other lenders dealt with small fish, but their clients were all high-level criminals involved in smuggling, illegal gambling, and tax evasion. Most lenders avoided those types of dangerous clients like the plague. But Baekjin was not intimidated at all. The reason was simple. Nobody at Baekjin was an ordinary collector. Every single one of them was tough enough to rip money back from the most violent gangs. And in a company full of absolute monsters, there was one man everyone agreed was at the top. That person was Lee Kyu-bum. Baekjin's mad dog, Lee Kyu-bum. This was the first time Kim Sang-in would actually see that power in person. And this was only the beginning. He attacked first, trying to take control of the fight right away, It was a smart move, honestly. But Kim Sang-in could tell right away that this guy was not playing a strategy game. Lee Gu-bum launched a kick, still mocking Kim Sang-in for being a total letdown. Today, he was going to tear the legend of Kim Sang-in apart. Kim Sang-in had zero time to move out of the way. He was forced to take that massive hit head-on. Hong Arium was completely frozen. She could not believe a monster like this actually existed in the real world. Lee Gu-bum lunged straight forward. A beast like this, Lee Gu-bum lunged forward, sneering. Trash like you actually thinks they're the strongest? Those chairmen must be blind if they can't even judge people right. Called the strongest? Those chairmen are blind if they can't judge people. Kim Seong-in realized Lee Gu-bum's speed was superior, but his attacks lacked any real structure. Since he lacked structure, Kim Sang-in decided to close the distance and grapple. Without structure, Kim Sang-in chose to close in and grapple, using proximity to lock down his range of movement. But Lee Gu-bum dodged the attack with a bizarre posture, so strange it looked almost unnatural. He smiled and mocked him. Kim Seong-in was still using that basic grab and strike trick. Everyone says you're just boring and rigid. The same old grab and strike. Everyone says you're boring and rigid. Even a layman could see Lee Gu-bum had the upper hand right now. Lee Gu-bum definitely had the upper hand. Kim Sang-in forced his body to hold on, though the shock in his leg hadn't faded. With the pain in his leg still lingering, Lee Gu-bum kept pressing him. Show me something real. Back at the coffee shop, Lee Gu-bum had left the chairman first to go handle work. The only thing the chairman told him was not to go too far with it. Baek Chen had asked Chairman Wang why he praised Lee Gu-bum as the strongest fighter around. Calling Lee Gu-bum the strongest fighter, Wang Baiyang stated it plainly. The man was a lunatic overflowing with competitive instinct. He would inevitably hound Sang-in into a serious and all-out, brutal fight. To hound Sang-in into an all-out fight, Wang Baiyang had long expected the mad dog would lunge and bite the moment he saw an opening. A mad dog would lunge the moment he got a chance. Didn't you say you wanted to invite Sang-in to teach your people? I'd just have Lee Gu-bum go exchange pointers with Sang-in. After one bite, he'll learn something and come back to us. Right then, Kim Seong-in slowly straightened up. Your attacks just aren't clean enough. Clean enough? You've already lost, Lee Gu-bum burst out laughing. Did I hit you too hard and break your brain? Since you refuse to admit it, I'll just beat you until you finally do. I told you, you can't beat me. Not being clean enough is your greatest weakness. When a person is in the air, their space to dodge gets totally locked down. Those strange moves you use, based on talent and instinct, might look hard to predict, but in truth, they have even more openings. Don't let me see through you. They might look hard to predict, but they're full of openings. Once I see through you, you were doomed to lose from the very start. That last hit was strong. I'll give you that. My vision even blurred for a moment there. You should have pressed your advantage, but instead you wasted time talking nonsense. So from now on, when an opportunity appears in front of you, finish the job. That shouldn't be difficult for you. It wouldn't be difficult at all. Lee Gu-bum engraved that lesson firmly into his mind. A single scream brought the duel to an end. Hong Arium was already so frightened she could barely even breathe. With the duel over, Hong Arium was too terrified to breathe. I gave you a chance to repay your debt, but I don't see you trying at all. Tonight, I'm putting an end to this debt collection once and for all. On the fishing boat in the foggy night, only muffled sounds of struggle echoed across the sea. Across the sea, a subordinate reported to Kim Sang-in that all the cement had already been mixed. Kim Seong-in stood there in silence, listening to Hong Arium's final, desperate retching. Kim Seong-in stood in silence, listening to Hong Arium's final retching, pour in the cement. The scene shifts to the past, where he sits in a car, watching Kim Yin from afar. They were once inseparable, but conflict later tore them apart. After years of separation, they both had lives of their own. Kim Sang-in could only secretly watch her between shifts. To protect his sister, he had chosen to keep his distance from her life. The younger sister who once relied on her brother was actually working alone to save up for her tuition. His sister, who once couldn't live without him, was working alone to save for her tuition. No matter how hard life pressed down, she never stopped moving forward. In what little spare time she had, she was still preparing for the teacher certification exam. The graduation cap flew high into the clear sky. She finally soared into the clear sky. At last, she'd broken free from that swamp of a family on her own. Never needing to bow to creditors like Kim Seong-un, she didn't have to beg creditors like Kim Sang-in once did. He just stood there in the distance, watching her shine, realizing that light didn't belong to him anymore. 1,000 words were stuck in his throat. In the end, all he could give her was a silent stare. All that was left was that silent look. The flowers he'd carefully prepared were eventually tossed into a dark corner by Kim Seong-in. Totally ignored. He finally decided to stop living in her shadow. He'd push any reunion far into the future. He was stuck in the mud, too miserable to let her see him like this. And there was no way he'd drag her back into the old wounds he'd caused. Go chase your dreams. He wouldn't drag her back to those painful wounds. Go chase your dreams. Forget me and all the ugly memories I brought into your life. Only memories remained. Kim sang and pushed the iron drum into the ocean. Oxygen vanished fast, and the desperate instinct to survive fought against the crushing despair. Freezing seawater flooded Hong Ariam's throat. She'd already lost the ability to even think. Her mind went blank. Out on the dark sea, Kim sang and whispered, "Do you know? Before your brain shuts down from lack of oxygen, the sharp pain fades and only peace remains. The pain fades into peace, but before that happens, we're going to pull her back up to the surface. Then we'll drop her again. Let her struggle and suffer over and over and over." The winch turned, pulling the drum from the sea. The sheer terror of nearly dying broke Hong Ariam. She collapsed, begging for mercy and confessing to every single thing. She admitted it all, but they didn't care about hearing her pathetic nonsense anymore. Hong Ariam screamed until her voice gave out, begging them over and over to spare her life. She begged for her life until she went hoarse. But it was impossible. There is no exit from this hell. Now, a new round of punishment begins. You can't escape hell. A new round of torture starts now. You're going to pay for everything you've done. Your own stupid, selfish choices are what push you into this mess in the first place. You destroyed the person who tried so hard to save you. She was sincere and just wanted a decent life. My little sister, the girl I protected with everything I had, worked so hard to finally find the light. You people pushed her to the edge. Now, it's time to settle the debt. Don't call me cruel, blame yourself. The freezing water wrapped around her despair, slowly swallowing her consciousness. Across the endless ocean, the cycle of revenge wasn't going to stop. Soon, morning light swept over the boat. Kim sang and told his men to open the lid. Hong Ariam was delirious and muttering. One man warned, "If we keep this up, she'll die. She'll die." Kim sang and replied coldly, "I won't let her die, she still owes me." He ordered the boat to turn around. This round of the reckoning was over for now. He ordered the boat back. This part of the revenge was done. Watching the first light of sunrise, Kim sang and prepared to finish destroying the person who started this. This debt wasn't paid yet. Kim sang and planned to trap her in a mental hospital for the rest of her life, making sure she never saw daylight again. Anyone who hurt his sister was going to pay for it double. Kim Yen spotted the marigold sitting in the trash can. He'd make them pay double. Kim Yen looked at the flowers in the trash. She couldn't understand why something so beautiful had been thrown away so carelessly. A friend told her to go take a picture. She snapped out of it, gave a soft answer, and followed the rest of the group. Amidst the excitement of graduation, she couldn't help but wish her brother was there with her. She always pictured her brother standing there, smiling and holding her favorite bouquet of flowers. Petals rained through the air. She never imagined that the next time they met, it would be such a terrible tragedy. We shift to a dim, quiet gym. The sound of heavy breathing and clanking machines filled the air. A man struggled with a barbell, pushing with everything he had. He looked awful today, like his soul was gone. In a daze, he really missed the teacher who used to be so tough on him. Without someone pushing him, he just felt weak. He was truly grieving the loss of that teacher. He felt weak and truly mourned the death of his teacher. Meanwhile, Kim sang and stepped closer and closer to a limp Hong Ariam, coldly calling out her name. He walked right up to her. Admit what you did and tell the truth. You have no choice. Hong Ariam immediately started shifting the blame, pointing the finger at someone else entirely. That person was the class president, Yemi Jun. She blamed someone else, the class president, Yemi Jun. Suddenly, the scene shifted back to the school campus. Kim sang and announced gravely that Hong Ariam was having serious mental health problems. Starting now, she'd be taking a long leave for hospital treatment. She wouldn't be returning to class for the rest of the semester. The whole class was stunned. Nobody could believe this was happening to a girl as popular as her. She's been tormented by guilt and can't pull herself out of it. Kim Sang-in's voice was gentle, but his words cut like a knife. If anyone else is feeling guilty, come talk to me. That wraps up today's homeroom. If you guys need anything, come find me anytime. You all heard what was just said in homeroom, right? Come find me anytime. You heard what went down. Teach already went after Hong Ariam, and it looks like some kind of brutal revenge is happening. Since he went after Hong Ariam, everyone has been uneasy. We are all warning each other to be extra careful lately. His crew was panicking, worried that the teacher had already dug up all their secrets. Everyone knew the truth was going to leak sooner or later. But the guy sitting across from Jun couldn't care less about those worries. He was actually hoping the teacher would try to come for him first. He wanted a direct showdown with Kim Se-eun to end this with pure brute force. The sibling connection between Kim Sang-in and Kim Yeon was even more exciting. Jun told them to report back immediately if the teacher made contact. In this mess, no one was going to stay safe. During gym, the coach complained that PE class had lost all its meaning a long time ago. Since colleges do not care about sports, teachers and students just treated the whole period as a time to relax. He let the kids horse around, treating it like a much-needed stress reliever. Stress relief. He didn't get why Kim Sang-in wanted to stand there watching. It felt like a total waste of time. Kim Sang-in was blunt. He planned to watch every single student in that class without missing a single thing. Suddenly, the whole class gasped when Baek Sang-yu crushed more than 20 pull-ups in a single set. After Baek Sang-yu finished those 20 pull-ups, he hit the floor with a heavy thud. Right after Baek Sang-yu landed from those 20 pull-ups, he started arrogantly showing off his massive, swollen muscles to the crowd. His classmates were shocked. Even from the front, you could see the crazy muscle definition on his back. Someone finally asked the question, how did he get that jacked in only 1 year? He blurted out that Baek Sang-yu must be using steroids. Baek instantly flew into a rage, demanding to know who gave him the right to accuse him of juicing. His face twisted as he claimed he was a natural athlete who only used hard work. He sneered at the skinny kid, bragging about his genetics. The crowd panicked because everyone knew Baek Sang-yu had a short fuse after a workout. He was furious and threatened to make the boy pay for his comments. Drop it, Baek Sang-yu. As he threatened the kid, the class president stepped in and calmly ordered him to let go of the student he was pinning down right now. The president reminded him that the teacher was watching them from just a few feet away. Baek Sang-yu swallowed his rage and stomped off against his will. He headed to the gym like a maniac, wanting to hit the weights and treat the punching bag like Kim Yeon event. He loved the feeling of that punch. Just thinking back on it made him feel amazing. The scene cuts to the gym. Inside the gym, a notice on the wall read, "Please throw all used steroids in the trash. Do not flush them, or they will clog the septic tank." Baek Sang-yu muttered under his breath that he had almost beaten that kid to death. After injecting the illegal gear, Baek Sang-yu casually flushed the needle right down the toilet. He threw on his headphones, planned his workout, and got ready to absolutely blast his arms. He tweaked his routine and prepped for an arm day. He was going to train until he completely collapsed. A guy with a nearly perfect physique walked up. Baek Sang-yu did not expect Kim Sang-in to be there. He asked, "How many steroids did you shoot today? I am curious." Baek Sang-yu snapped back. "Are you literally asking me to beat you up? I work day and night for this body. What is your problem?" Kim Sang-in pulled out his physical exam from last year and told him to stop acting tough. His height had not changed, but his weight shot up by 20 kilograms. Normal development could never explain that kind of sudden growth in such a short time. No one sitting in a classroom all day could build muscles like that with such low body fat through a normal diet alone. Kim Sang-in stared at him. A little exercise in gym class and some stairs. Then you just train a bit during summer break. Your shoulders and traps are way too big. You definitely haven't been light on the performance drugs. Your muscles are way too developed. You haven't been light on the gear. Of course, whether you juice or not is your own business. But if you use drugs and your body still only looks like this, honestly, that is just embarrassing. Kim Sang-in kept the pressure on. It is pretty common right now, right? Long-term drug use does this to you. You cannot control your anger. That is why you beat your old homeroom teacher to vent, is it not? Do you want to beat the hell out of me too? Just like you did to Kimmy back in the day. Inside, Baek Sang-yu's heart sank. His heart sank because he never expected this new homeroom teacher to already know about his dark past too. Kim Sang-in was surprised too. He only poked him a little, and Baek Sang-yu was already starting to panic. He was totally panicking. The more Baek Sang-yu thought about it, the more his mind spiraled. He suspected a leak, but he had absolutely no clue how to clean up this mess. Kim Sang-in did not even have to get physical like with Hong or Ryan. He had already baited him into a trap. "Honestly, I cannot even be bothered to fight you. Your muscles are totally fake. Your body is just full of soft junk. I have zero interest in it at all." Baek Sang-yu demanded to know if Kim Sang-in thought he was weak. Kim Sang-in just simply admitted it. Baek Sang-yu arrogantly declared he would beat him up and would not hold back just because he was a teacher. "Stop it, Baek Sang-yu. No fighting allowed in this gym. How many times do I have to tell you all that?" This middle-aged man was the gym owner, Kwak Dae-bo. "How many times do I have to tell you?" This middle-aged gym owner, Kwak Dae-bo, finally stepped in. Baek Sang-yu clenched his teeth hard. He had not vented by beating someone in a really long time. The owner tried to smooth things over, saying the kid was immature and liked making trouble. Kim Seong-in decided to let him off for now. The owner told Baek Sang-yu to go home and stop causing trouble. But the kid said he was not even finished warming up. Go home. I still have a bone to pick with you for flushing that stuff down the toilet. Do not make things blow up again like last time. Baek Sang-yu had no way to argue and could only leave in total silence. He left without saying a word. However, the more he thought about it, the angrier he actually got. He swore that if Kim Seong-in dared to humiliate him one more time, he would beat him until he could not get up. After that, the two found a place to sit down and prepared to talk about Baek Sang-yu. Kwak Dae-bo blamed himself. He said he had not taught the kid the basic courtesy of being a decent person, only how to sculpt his body. Kim Seong-in followed the lead and started probing, wanting to get a much clearer picture of Baek Sang-yu's past from the man. The moment Kim Seong-in brought up the topic of illegal drugs, Kwak Dae-bo's face darkened instantly. Having spent so many years in the fitness world, Kwak Dae-bo flatly declared that there was not a single sign of drug use on Baek Sang-yu at all. That could only mean that Kwak Dae-bo's personal judgment was totally unreliable too. It was clear to see that Baek Sang-yu's symptoms were already incredibly obvious to everyone. It was pretty obvious, but Kim Seong-in did not press the issue. He smoothly accepted the denial and stopped pursuing it. As Kim Seong-in was about to leave, Kwak Dae-bo called out to him, wanting to ask one final question. With a build this solid, how exactly did you train it? Kim Seong-in said he had never trained specifically for it. After working hard for such a long time, his body had naturally become built like this. Kwak Dae-bo had done this for way too many years. He could tell immediately that Kim Seong-in was not telling the truth. This teacher must have been a very formidable athlete in the past. A chill ran down Kwak Dae-bo's back. This time, he had truly run into trouble. Meanwhile, Baek Sang-yu walked down the street. What had just happened completely ruined his training state for the whole day. He could not figure out how the teacher exposed his steroid secret. He even suspected Kim Seong-in used banned drugs himself. His head felt like it would explode as anxiety and panic drove him mad. This teacher cannot get any evidence on me. He kept telling himself the teacher could not find any evidence. But files revealed that Baek Sang-yu had once been reported for violence against a female teacher. The details of the case were vague, and there was no complete evidence. So, for the time being, he could not be fully convicted of it. Kim Seong-in could easily destroy Baek Sang-yu's life with zero effort, but he would not act so rashly. Instead, he wanted to think carefully about how to collect every single old debt back from the kid, with plenty of interest added on. And then there was the gym owner, an experienced veteran desperately trying to cover up Baek Sang-yu's drug use. This man was not clean either, which meant the circle behind these drugs was not small at all. In a remote corner of the campus, Baek Sang-yu called over to students and opened up his backpack to show them the contents. One of them asked curiously what it could be that made him act so mysteriously. Baek Sang-yu proudly said that today he would exceptionally share this bodybuilding shortcut with them. He finally revealed his trump card. The bag was stuffed with illegal steroids that could make any physique explode in size. The students watching were terrified. Those drugs aren't just illegal, they are lethal. But Baek Sang-yu just stood there with total disdain, acting like it didn't even matter if he completely wrecked his own body in the process. He bragged about picking the most potent stuff available. He even offered to teach them how to stack those bodybuilding supplements for a cheap price. Trust me, once you start pinning this stuff, you will turn into a terrifying muscle monster. You will become a literal beast. Suddenly, a chill ran down Baek Sang-yu's spine. He got a very bad feeling about this. Dealing drugs at school, you have got some serious nerve. Dealing at school, you have got guts. Kid, now, get moving. Come with me so I can teach you a real lesson. Kim Sang-hoon's voice was low but firm. He ordered the other two students back to class immediately. Keep your mouths shut, and I might just let this slide for now. Scared stiff, the two bolted and left Baek Sang-yu all alone to face the music. With the kids gone, Kim Sang-hoon hauled Baek Sang-yu into the counseling office. The kid was still desperately trying to talk his way out of it. He flat out denied selling anything, swearing those illegal gear bags were strictly for his personal use. He only admitted to showing them to friends, firmly denying any actual cash had changed hands. Kim Sang-hoon cut to the chase. Didn't you swear last time you weren't on anything? Now you are lying again. Drop the act and tell me the truth. Where did these drugs come from? Baek Sang-yu got cocky. He pulled out his bank records to prove his innocence, claiming he had no weird expenses to hide. Since he was still a minor, he wasn't scared at all. He even had the gall to say a teacher had no right to investigate him. He had a game plan ready. deny everything, stall for time, and then find a way to flip the script. Kim Sang-hoon calmly explained that he didn't care if Baek Sang-yu was just using, or actually dealing. Using or dealing, it didn't matter. Baek Sang-yu froze. He had completely miscalculated the situation. Kim Sang-hoon tossed a stack of photos right in front of him. Every single picture was proof of him bullying Kim Ian. The evidence was undeniable. Baek Sang-yu's face went white. How on earth did Kim Sang-hoon get his hands on these? Those photos were locked tight in a gym cabinet. So how did they end up with the teacher? Kim Sang-hoon had already connected the dots. It was obvious that the gym owner was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. The scene shifts to the gym. Gwaak Dae-bo looks up in shock as Kim says, "It is your turn now." Gwaak Dae-bo had no clue why Kim Sang-hoon had suddenly tracked him down. Kim didn't waste any time. He told him flat out that all of Baek Sang-yu's illegal drugs came from this gym. Gwaak was the supplier, and the kid was the runner. They were working together like a well-oiled machine. Gwaak's face twisted in anger. He exploded, demanding to know what right Kim had to call him a drug dealer. Kim Sang-hoon started listing facts. A former pro with the Korea Bodybuilding Association, now drowning in the dark world of the black market. He even attacked a pregnant woman in a parking lot once. The guy had a serious violent record. Then Kim brought up an old trial. Back then, he got a lighter sentence by claiming drugs mess with his head. Kim pointed out that he still hadn't quit. He was just sinking deeper and deeper into his own supply. Those scandals had already killed his fitness career. He had ruined his own future with his own hands. After retiring, he bought a store in a prime location for a high price. But the business just couldn't turn a profit. He was bad at fitness coaching and even worse at running a business. In the end, he had to rely on selling banned gear and illegal substances just to pay the monthly rent. Humiliated and furious, Gwaak Dae-bo raised his fist to take a swing at Kim Sang-hoon. "Looks like both of us have a bit of a temper." Kim looked down coldly at Gwaak, who was now sprawled on the floor. He said there was still one more thing they needed to clear up right now. If the guy just told the truth, Kim promised to help keep the drug dealing stuff under wraps for now. He needed some real answers immediately. He wanted the inside scoop on why Baek Sang-yu attacked his last homeroom teacher. If he talked, the drug charges might just disappear for a while. Gwaak Dae-bo immediately panicked and started playing dumb. He kept swearing up and down that he didn't know anything at all about that assault case. He lied and said the kid only beat up some random guy at the gym, and that they had already settled the whole thing privately before. Kim kept the pressure on, forcing him to spit out the truth instead of trying to hide behind more lies. Gwaak insisted he was telling the truth. He even claimed he still had the settlement papers from that original incident. He admitted that he actually did meet the former homeroom teacher, a woman named Kim Youngin. He had seen Baek Sang-yu giving her private fitness lessons. They were acting way too close. It definitely wasn't a normal student-teacher vibe. Baek Sang-yu was obsessed with her. He would even stare blankly at her photos while he was supposed to be training. Gwaak confessed those secret photos were locked in a storage cabinet. He was willing to open it up if it meant keeping himself safe. Back in the interrogation room, Kim Sang-in held up the photos and grilled Baek Sang-yu about those secret shots. He demanded answers about those private photos. Baek Sang-yu totally lost it. He couldn't figure out how Kim Sang-in broke into his locked cabinet. He still couldn't wrap his head around how the cabinet was opened. Even then, he refused to admit the truth. He stubbornly claimed those photos were just found in the classroom, not secretly taken, and insisted he hadn't done anything wrong. "She is dead anyway, so why even bother investigating? Just let it go already. She was a great teacher, and I was a top student. We got along fine. Why be suspicious of that? Plus, class is starting soon, so I really need to get going. There is nothing to suspect. Besides, I have class, so I should head out, and I see you could leave. Using too many steroid injections can cause heart failure. Honestly, I am really worried about you. As your teacher, I need to get you to the hospital for a full checkup. If the doctors find a problem, you can take the whole semester off." Kim Sang-in looked at him and asked, "How does that sound? You could take a break." Kim Sang-in asked what he thought, but then bam, a punch landed, and Baek Sang-yu was knocked out cold right then and there. When he finally woke up, he woke up strapped to a chair, totally clueless about why he was tied down. Kim Sang-in stepped from the shadows with a terrifyingly calm voice. "I will teach you some restraint," he said. He pulled out a syringe while Baek Sang-yu struggled in pure terror, wondering what was coming. Kim Sang-in said, "If you just cooperate, we can start paying down your debt bit by bit. Everything happening now is the result of your own stubborn choices." A chill ran through Baek Sang-yu as he realized the syringe was full of female hormones meant to change his body. "I am curious to see how you react to this injection. Baek Sang-yu, you better start talking. Talk now. If you keep refusing, I am going to inject you with these female hormones. Talk, or you get the hormone shot. Baek Sang-yu was terrified of what that would do to him. He finally cracked and begged the teacher to put the needle away. Fine, he said. Let us just talk this through. Kim Sang-eun glared coldly. You better not lie. Baek Sang-yu started recalling the past, promising he was telling the absolute truth. When Kim Yeon first showed up at the school, he did not take her seriously at all. When Kim Yeon first arrived, Baek Sang-yu barely noticed her. He thought she was pretty, sure, but at the end of the day, he did not really care. Nothing at school really mattered to him. His only priority was always his bodybuilding training plan. Back then, he and Kim Yeon had almost no contact. She was busy getting to know the students while he was busy sleeping and recovering. Their first real conversation started with a surprise remark from someone nearby. Everything changed the day Kim Yeon was accused of stealing Hong Arim's bag and hung her head in shame. Wait a minute. Are you positive you knew absolutely nothing about this before it actually happened? Baek Sang-yu immediately defended himself. He had zero interest in hanging out with someone who live-streamed their whole life and showed off constantly. You just streamed and showed off all day. Whatever. Fine, just keep going with the story. She streamed and flexed for the camera constantly. Anyway, keep going. During lunch, he often went to the pull-up bars to train, focusing only on the feel of his muscles working. That day was no different. Baek Sang-yu was doing pull-ups by himself when a sudden gasp caught his attention and made him stop mid-rep. A voice sounded right by his ear, making him stop. Baek Sang-yu turned to see his teacher, Kim Yeon. She told him she had been looking for a chance to talk. His teacher, Kim Yeon, said she really wanted to find a chance to talk. Baek Sang-yu assumed she would explain being framed, but she didn't mention it at all. He thought she would talk about the framing incident, but she stayed silent on that. Instead, Kim Yeon asked him about his future. What is your big dream? She asked. She asked about his future and his dreams. I am your teacher, she said, and I want to understand what you have planned. It was the first time someone looked at him with such intense, earnest eyes and asked, what do you want to be? With that earnest look, she asked what he wanted to be. Baek Sang-yu felt shy but told her his dream was natural bodybuilding. He thought it was cool and manly. Kim Yeon's eyes lit up and she gave him some sincere praise. Her eyes sparkled as she praised him. It made Baek Sang-yu feel like he was floating. Deep down, he was absolutely thrilled. Just like that, they started getting closer. But Kim Sang-eun cut him off. I don't want to hear that. Did you ever hit Kim Yeon? Baek Sang-yu breathed deep and finally confessed. Baek Sang-yu sighed and finally admitted the truth. Well, then that makes things very simple, doesn't it? He quickly explained, I had a good reason for hitting her. He claimed he had a reason for hitting her. Fine then, tell me. What possible reason could you have had? I am all ears. I would quite like to hear this reason. That day after school, he forgot something and ran back to the classroom. He was holding the syringe, unable to resist the urge to inject himself. Suddenly, the classroom door flew open. There was his teacher, Kim Yeon, standing right in the doorway. She looked completely shocked. Baek Sang-yu froze, and the syringe in his hand almost slipped to the floor. He almost dropped it. Kim Yeon stared at him with pure disappointment. Didn't you say you wanted to be a natural bodybuilder? Those words felt like a knife slicing right through his fake persona. He wanted to explain, but with that syringe right in his hand, his voice just failed him. Kimmy looked at him. This isn't being a man. You're just a weak person running away. The phrase weak person hit his brain like a thunderclap. Images of his old, scrawny self flashed before him. He knew he could never go back to looking like that again. Baek Sang-yu was fuming now. He couldn't hold back the rage boiling inside him anymore. He was totally wired, unable to hold back his nerves another second. Right then, he just threw a punch. He instantly regretted it. He dropped to his knees, begging for forgiveness. But Kimmy just smiled and said it was fine. So, what you're saying is that you had absolutely nothing to do with Kimmy's death? Of course not. He stubbornly insisted it was that girl Homeroom who did it. Didn't you already take care of her? Why are you still coming after me for this? You already handled Reem, so why track me down? Wait, so you know about Homeroom too? That is very strange. Why do you think I dealt with her? Let me get this straight. Kim Yeon was framed as a thief. Then all the blame shifted to Homeroom, right? Well, Homeroom already told me every single one of your ugly secrets. Hong Maria told me everything. You really think what happened with Kim Yeon was just some minor clash? Did you honestly think you could lie your way out of this? I told you. Don't lie. You have no idea what you've walked into. Baek Sang-yu started screaming. He never thought Kim Sang-eun would actually inject the hormone. He was terrified he'd actually use the needle. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. Please, just don't do this. Kim Sang-eun was done waiting. He decided to bring in a neutral witness who knew the truth. Baek Sang-yu was shocked when the class president, Yemi Jun, walked in. Kim asked for his take on the situation. Without hesitating, the class president looked at them and said Baek Sang-yu was the one who caused Kim In's death. So far, everything you two have said is a mess of truth and lies. I can't tell the difference, so I brought you here to be the judge. Tell me based on what you know. What part is true and what is fake? I already asked you this before. Was Kim In's death connected to Baek Sang-yu? Yemi Jun looked completely baffled. He couldn't wrap his head around what Kim Sang-eun was talking about at all. You don't get it. Did you forget that you said this yourself? You promised to do whatever it took to help me track down the killer. You said you'd help find the murderer. Now that I'm digging for the truth, we're doing things my way. Help me find the killer. What do you say? We do it my way. Help me find the killer. Baek Sang-yu clung to him, desperate for a lifeline. Why are you here? Don't just stand there. Untie me and call the cops. Why are you acting like a statue? What are you doing? Kim Sang-eun is crazy. He's trying to inject me with female hormones. Call the police right now. Did you hear me or not? Call the cops. Are you listening? Baek Sang-yu was definitely Kim Sang-eun's top target, but there were still some major loose ends to tie up. He was a main target, but doubts remained. How did he distribute drugs at school without ever being caught? On top of that, there was his suspicious connection to the gym owner. He'd been dealing for over a year and hadn't been busted a single time. He had been dealing for a year and never got caught. Even more absurd, he wasn't like Homeroom. There weren't even any whispers or rumors about him among the students. The PE teacher mentioned our class rarely had any trouble, and there was a specific reason for that. Whenever a fight was about to start, Yemi Jun would show up and quietly shut it down. Whenever things got heated, Yemi Jun was there to squash it. He controlled the class better than the teachers or the staff. Had he been covering for Baek Sang-yu this whole time? At the hospital, a subordinate mentioned that every agency had refused to look into his background. That only happens when someone is extremely dangerous. Yemi Jun was that untraceable student. If Yemi Jun refused to come clean now, he was probably an accomplice in all of this too. If he wouldn't tell the truth, he was likely an accomplice. Yemi Jun patted Baek Sang-yu's shoulder and said calmly, he really did tell a lot of lies. Are you trying to get me killed? Yemi Jun, get your hand off of me. Get your hands off me right now. Fine, then let me tell you the real story. Get your hands off me. Fine, I'll tell the truth. Baek Sang-yu had been lying since the start. He noticed Kim Yoon on the very first day of school. Right from the start, he noticed her. He even had the nerve to tell everyone that he wanted Kim Yoon to be his girlfriend. He wanted her to be his girlfriend. Embarrassed and helpless, Kim Yoon could only try to set boundaries and avoid his harassment. She tried to avoid him, but he wouldn't stop. He actually got worse, pestering her constantly with suggestive remarks and inappropriate comments. He followed Kim Yoon and shamelessly asked her out. I finally asked Kim Yoon out and stopped using that name for once, but her voice was as cold as ice. A flash of joy hit his eyes. He actually thought the teacher was finally changing her mind about him. Thinking he had her figured out, he even gossiped that she probably preferred the more manly, tough guy type. You are actually really cute. Just do not play these kinds of pranks on your teacher, okay? More manly. You are cute. Do not prank your teacher. He froze. A beautiful teacher had actually just called him cute. It was a shock. This hallway gossip had already been picked up by plenty of students passing by in the halls. Hong Raiwon watched Baek Sang-woo leave, feeling totally satisfied with how things went. You jerk. Last year you said you only like me. Just wait. I am going to expose you. Just like that, the rumor of Baek Sang-woo getting dumped by teacher Kim exploded online. Everyone was laughing behind his back. Baek Sang-woo swallowed his rage, wondering who the hell would actually dare to spread a rumor like that. From that day on, he acted like a different person, ignoring his homeroom teacher as if she did not even exist. Kim Yoon watched him walk away. Her eyes looked tired, but she also had the look of someone who finally understood. Later, Kim Yoon suddenly asked the class president a question. What exactly was it that Baek Sang-woo actually liked? She mentioned she felt Baek Sang-woo was purposely avoiding her lately, and she really wanted to find a way to talk. After thinking, Yemi Jun said Baek Sang-woo responds best to one thing: praise his muscles and talk about fitness. If Kim Yoon took the lead and asked about his workout routine, he would get so hyped he could not stop. The very next day, Kim Yoon actually went out of her way to strike up a conversation with Baek Sang-woo. The next day, Kim Yoon actually went to talk to Baek Sang-woo. He could feel her kindness and attention, The distance between them finally started to shrink. One day PE class ended early. As they walked back to the classroom, they suddenly heard a heated argument inside. You could tell from all the cursing and the loud shouting that it was definitely Baek Sang-woo in there. The second they rushed into the classroom, the scene in front of them made Yami-jun freeze right where he stood. The usually sweet teacher Kim was being punched in the stomach by Baek Sang-woo. She let out a muffled groan and her face went dark instantly. Baek Sang-woo had this twisted look of joy as he screamed at Kim Yoon not to laugh at him for being weak anymore, ruining the teacher's dignity. He bragged about his masculinity. Yami-jun rushed forward and grabbed him while Kim Yoon refused any help and left alone. Up until then, that was all Yami-jun knew. She walked out alone. That was all Yami-jun knew. Kim Sang-un felt his temples throb. This guy just spilled so much truth at once. Is he trying to get me killed faster? Baek Sang-woo completely broke down and started cursing, asking Yami-jun why he was not protecting him or saying anything in his favor. Was he trying to get him beaten to death? Kim Sang-un told him he could leave now, still suspecting the class president despite only having indirect evidence. He then kicked Baek Sang-woo to the ground. He kicked Baek Sang-woo to the floor. Baek screamed and begged him to go easy. Aren't gym rats supposed to be tough and take a beating? Yami-jun interrupted Kim Sang-un, saying some of what Baek said was actually true. For instance, Teacher Kim really did forgive him for what he did back then. Teacher Kim Yoon really did forgive him. That is right, Kim Yoon actually forgave me. Teacher Kim forgave me. She did, but I sure did not. So sit there and take this beating. Since you love hitting people, you are going to learn what it cost. Baek Sang-woo pleaded with him. Could he at least not hit him in the face? He begged not to be hit in the face. Kim Sang-un's fist came down anyway, and blood splattered everywhere from the impact. But he still was not satisfied. He punched Baek Sang-woo right in the face one more time. Hit in the face again. Baek Sang-woo felt his consciousness slipping away, like he was seeing the afterlife already. After death, it looks like I am really not going to survive tonight. His vision faded and his mind went completely blank. His ears were buzzing. The deputy class president, Yami-jun, was standing right there. Even though Baek Sang-woo could not see his face clearly, he was still hoping that Yami-jun would definitely step in and save him. A few nights ago, Yami-jun called Baek Sang-woo out. City lights spread below them like diamonds. Baek asked why they were there. Yam said, I have a feeling you are Kim Sang-un's next target. I do not know about Hong Rai-won, but she must have been interrogated by now. She saw your violence firsthand, so she will point the blame at you. Be ready. She saw what you did, so she will definitely blame you. You need to be ready. Do not let Kim Sang-un catch you. Baek Sang-woo laughed. You are good at calculating things. Maybe you are right. If you were not so meticulous, you would not be this successful. You really know how to play the game and keep your hands clean. You would not have made all that money. I think you might be the wealthiest student in all of Korea. Yami-jun patted Baek Sang-woo on the shoulder. He told him that no matter what happens, he must not tell Kim Sang-un the truth. Do not tell the truth. The very second you let the truth slip out, both of us are completely finished. Done. If something actually goes wrong, I will step in and help you out. Baek Sang-woo laughed and brushed his hand off, asking what kind of trouble could possibly happen to him anyway. He confidently swore that nothing would happen. He promised he would absolutely never tell the truth to anyone. Only when that fist connected did he realize talk was cheap. Promises mean nothing against pure violence. He wanted to scream everything, but his throat only offered a wet, gurgling sound of bloody foam. Please, help me, Yeom Lee-jun. I seriously can't take any more of this. But Yeom Lee-jun just stood there with a cold smirk. He never had any intention of helping. Without Kim Seong-gun's invite, he wouldn't even be witnessing this brutal torture. Kim Seong-gun glanced at Yeom Lee-jun. The kid didn't even flinch. He didn't make a single move to protect his own friend. Any normal teen would have bolted by now or at least called 911. But Yeom Lee-jun is just watching the show. Does he think he's off the hook? Yeom Lee-jun knew Kim Sang-hun wouldn't just use brute force, but he was flaunting it now. This was definitely a test. He needed to act like a normal high school student. Kim Seong-gun could tell this class president was deep. He looked like he wanted to run, but stayed put. Is he performing for me? Whatever. He had his own ways. No point in more beating for now. Once Baek Sang-woo wakes up, one more interrogation will prove if Yeom Lee-jun is lying. Meanwhile, Yeom Lee-jun was still running the numbers in his head. Yeom Lee-jun kept calculating his next move. Kim Sang-hun hadn't dropped his suspicions yet, but he hadn't started a direct interrogation either. The real danger was Baek Sang-woo eventually cracking and snitching. It was only a matter of time before he leaked something. Looks like I can't escape this after all. Kim Sang-hun told the class president, "You're free to go." "I'm stuck." Kim Sang-hun looked at the class president and said, "Get out of here. Staying won't help. I'll call you if I need anything else." Lee-jun forced himself to stay cool and questioned the teacher back. "Aren't you scared I'll just go call the cops? If you were actually that righteous, you should have called an ambulance the day Kim Yoon jumped. You should have at least shed a tear." "No, I didn't think it would end like this either." "So, what's the plan for Baek Sang-yu?" "Wait and see. He might still spill some truth. Just wait. He might spill the truth. If he slips up and gives us another name or a different criminal, that would be the best case. But of course, if he keeps trying to hide behind his lies, I'll make him wish he were dead. I'll make him regret ever being born into this world. I'll make him pray for death. I'll make him regret existing." The pressure was so heavy Lee-jun could barely breathe as he turned to leave. Kim Sang-hun told him to show up for class tomorrow and keep his mouth shut. "Fine, but teacher, I have a lot of questions." "Look, you'll understand when the time is right. For now, stop asking and just leave." "You really want to ask questions? I haven't even dealt with your own situation yet." Lee-jun is definitely in on this. Whether he's one of the masterminds, though, I'm gonna find out. "What are you people doing?" "I came here to grab that jerk Baek Sang-yu." "What the hell happened?" "I'm here for that bastard Baek Sang-yu." "What went down?" A huge blonde guy suddenly burst in, staring everyone down. He pointed at Baek Sang-yu on the floor and asked if Lee-jun did this. "With him trashed like this, how am I supposed to collect his debt?" He looked around and asked how he'd collect the debt if the guy was totally beaten up. Lee-jun nervously asked who he was. "I'm the one asking the questions here. Don't flip it on me." Lee-jun nervously asked his name. "I'm the one asking questions here. You want a beating?" Kim Sang-hun told the blonde guy to chill and asked who sent him to collect the money. The blonde guy just laughed and said he must have found the wrong person. Now he was looking at Kim Seong-gan as his next opponent.